70 partout.
What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. We're back with another episode this week with a special guest, friend of the show, David Blake. We'll be, having, the usual movie review, and of course, this month's theme is suspense thriller, and we will be reviewing Bone Tomahawk, starring Kurt Russell and Patrick Wilson, as well as topics of the day. But to get us started, let's throw it to Dave. Dave, how you been, man?
Oh man, I've been great.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Yeah, Dave and I actually him and I have been talking quite a bit the last few days and kind of just shooting the shit, playing games together. We watched the movie together too, so that was we had a great fucking time watching the movie. For those of you who have seen Bone Tomahawk, know that it's you don't want to watch it with a lot of little kids around or squeamish people. We had to wait till David's family was completely out of the house to watch this movie.
It's not for general audiences.
No, it's really not. So I implore you. I am the one. I have kids who range between the ages of 12 and 18, and I will tell you that because of these nowadays standards, let them go to the playground.
Yeah, even if they're 18, let them go to the playground.
Hours. Tell them not to come home for 4 hours.
Yeah. But I know Dave and I have been having a good time this past few days, just catching up and having fun together.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I've been doing pretty good. Mainly just watching movies, and I've been playing this really great game called Lost Judgment, which is part of it's a spin-off from the Yakuza series, which I've been playing. And this is a detective story. So you're solving this really intricate murder, and I am having a blast trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So I've been doing that. I've been watching movies, doing a lot of nerd work. Taking notes for our reviews that are coming up. As Andy would call me, kind of that Homer Simpson meme of nerd. Yeah, that's what I do.
And there's your Simpsons reference for the show.
Yeah, to be honest, the other thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is we've all watched Married with Children growing up, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I have to say that as I've gotten older, that show becomes more and more relevant to me. Where I always wondered, as growing up, I was like, why does Al Bundy seem to really hate Peggy so much, his wife? And I'm like, I don't hate because he doesn't.
All right, here we go. Yeah, here we go. All right, it all comes out now.
He doesn't hate his wife. He does love Peggy because there's time.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I gotta say something. Round one, go.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying he doesn't hate Peggy because there's that episode where he could have. There was that very rich man that wanted to spend the night with Peggy for $1 million. It was going to give him $1 million, and he's like, "No, I can't do that." And it's like, okay, the guy obviously loves his wife, but he's always talking. It's like, "Al, let's have sex." No, Peg. It's kind of like, why wouldn't you want to have sex with your wife? It's like, I get it now. I totally get it.
Kids.
I totally get it. Al Bundy, I totally understand, because there's times where my wife is she gets super handsy, and she doesn't watch this, so don't worry. I'm not.
Yeah, no, yeah.
This is the one where she finally sits down and goes, I wonder if he talks about me.
Not likely, but
People never ever watch this show. I already know that. No, but
Yeah,
no,
she's
we can
she's
have a
not
million
not very
followers.
supportive in his endeavors.
We could have 1 million subscribers. She would never watch the show.
Yeah.
I know her. But anyways, because she gets like, she's always like kind of like when she's spending time with me, she's always like grabbing on me and stuff like that. It's like, I'm like, can you like, I like when you like you're next to me and like you want to like kind of hold me and or like cuddle or whatever. But like this shit, like this just gotta stop. Like it's like I totally understand Al Bundy.
How old is she now?
She's 29.
Give it a couple more years.
Oh yeah, when they go through that, yeah.
Oh no. Usually a woman her sexual peak will stop between the ages of 32 to about 39.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you're fair game, dude. Because a man's peak stops at usually about 40 to 50. And then after 50, it's, hey, whatever's got a hole.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
As long as they're over the age of 18.
Yeah, but I don't want people to think that I hate my wife. I do not. Obviously, I married her. She's great.
Yeah. All I hear is like just affirmations.
I totally understand Al Bundy.
Now, what? Now, wasn't this an arranged marriage?
No, it was not an arranged marriage. Yeah, the arranging was done by me. That was the problem.
You think that if you want to.
But I totally understand Al Bundy even more. I should have worn my my No Ma'am shirt tonight. Just for solidarity. No, I bought a couple of years ago. I bought Andy and myself No Ma'am shirts for Halloween.
That's right. I still have mine. It's
good.
I'm just trying to find the right time to wear it.
Oh, if the feminists like come out and do something like really insane, we're wearing those shirts and talking about that.
Okay, for sure. Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't really look into it too much, but apparently, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the term incel.
Yeah.
But it describes a man who is involuntary celibate. But apparently now, I guess the feminists want like a piece of the action, and so now they came up with fem cells.
Oh, Jesus
women,
Christ.
Women who are involuntary celibate.
No, you can't do that. That's our thing.
I know. I know, and I totally agree with you because here's the caveat for that, because a woman could literally go walk out of her house down the street and into a crowd of men and says, "Who wants to sleep with me?" and just pick somebody and go. A man cannot go into a crowd of women it's like, "Who wants to sleep with me?" and they just laugh at him.
Or that's best case scenario. There might be some mace or something else, or
right, exactly. But in short, it's not equal. It's not equal.
No, it is not equal. Dude, that's actually a good discussion to have.
But they wanted equal rights.
No, they didn't. They wanted superiority. That's what they wanted. But then they got it, and then they couldn't handle it. So now they're coming up with this crap to make it seem like they're the victims again.
They both want to be treated like a man and a woman at the same time, but like they only want the good male qualities, like
right, exactly. Yeah, they want to be CEO, but they want to be CEOs, but they don't want to be garbage men or sanitation workers.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. I got this kick-ass female sanitation worker boy. She does more work than the men do. She can come pick up my trash any day of the week she wants to.
Hey, you know what? More power to her. Like,
more power to her, dude. I remember. Yeah, I read a story about this. Like in Brazil, there's there's actually a lot of women in sanitation, and because it's Brazil, they're smoking hot too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Brazilians.
Is there anyone that is under a 7 in Brazil?
I don't think it's physically possible.
only age.
I mean, I'm like maybe a 6 here, but like, I go to Brazil, I'm like a 3, dude. Like, it's it's like, I would be like bottom rung going to Brazil.
I don't know.
I'm gonna take a shot at it. I could be a 10 if I lost. I get my ass on the
It's a mindset, gentlemen. It's a mindset. But from what I hear, Thailand is pretty fun. And actually, like the women, they'll approach you.
No, are you sure it's a woman?
I know. Yeah, I know the lady boys and all that, but you just have to screen very thorough. Dave, you just have to screen very thoroughly. All right, screen very thoroughly. But yeah, a buddy of mine, he was telling me, that Thailand was like his favorite place to go and like hang out, like, cause, everywhere is like a freaking desktop, wallpaper, and yeah, like the women, like they're really friendly, and like yeah, they'll like the women, they'll like it's like, I know in Western cultures it's more like the man that makes the approach, but in Thailand, yeah, the women will make the approach, and yes, every once in a while you will. Get a professional, but you just have to weed those out.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I lived in Hawaii for about 2.5 years, and the women there. Woo,
oh yeah,
they're nice. I like the tan.
Yeah, those Polynesian chicks.
Oh yeah, them. Mm-hmm. But you got to turn around and you got to. Like, just like going with Thailand and everything too, you gotta check underneath that hood, because they call them mahus over there.
Mahus.
I call them Decepticons.
You gotta watch that. We actually had.
I mean, just like I generally, I call them Transformers.
Well, we had a fella that actually went out on the town and came back that Monday morning for a muster. And he was a little disturbed. I
seen things, man. I seen things.
Oh, there was things done. There was things done.
Oh.
We had a guy at work who's like, he's known for kind of like going out a lot, and it's like, dude, like I was like with this chick who I thought was a chick, and it turned out to be like it was a dude. It's like first of all, like you made the first mistake of actually telling us this. And it's like,
I know. Now you're gonna be ridiculed for life.
You're never gonna live this down, dude.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. I lived in Cali, right? Mm-hmm. And I lived in San Diego, and I got I had some buddies of mine. Hey, let's go out to the club. All right, let's go. Went, and the hell with that. The damn dudes, the drag queens. I'm good, man.
Mm-mm.
I will say this, though. Some of them, it don't matter which way you go. Some of them can fool anybody, because.
Right. I mean, yeah, to quote a great movie, it's like, if that was a transvestite, that was the Mona Lisa of transvestites.
I
will admit, there are a few. I was like, I would have to like it. Not that I would obviously like. It's like, man, you really have to look. It's like, are you? Wow, what? That's you had immaculate work done. That is so close.
Bravo to your surgeon. Bravo to your surgeon.
I will say this right here. I have my wife, who I love absolutely dearly. She has a cousin who was. She was born a guy, and she is absolutely wonderful. She is beautiful. She had a full sex change. She is, she's got the breath, and she's gorgeous, man. And she actually lives in Las Vegas, and she's actually a flight attendant. And she.
I thought you were gonna say showgirl. It's like those are always the best. the trannies are always the best showgirls.
But she, and everybody's questioning, why you keep on calling him a she, because that's what she identifies as. But she's absolutely wonderful. She's a lovely woman. Actually invited me and my wife on a round trip to go to Las Vegas on her.
Oh,
And
nice.
I've never met her.
Mhm.
And she asked me if I wanted to go. She didn't ask my wife.
Mm.
She asked me, she said, do you and her want a round trip ticket, plane fare, vehicle, hotel, everything was on her. And I was like, nah, not right now. I got surgery coming up and can't do that. Man, I'm gonna tell you what, I should have went and did it.
I know. You never pass up on a free trip, man. Everyone knows that.
Well, I had that tumor surgery coming up, so I had to.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but the rule of thumb is you never pass up on a free trip.
Oh well, she extended the offer, so anytime we want to go out, we can. So.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, and I mean,
you should make it Cali, and then you come out here.
I know how to get to Cali. That drive will never leave my mind. I can promise you that. Andy, if Robert didn't tell you, I was dumb and I was crazy. I got in a 2003 Ford Focus 2-door hatchback and drove from Oceanside, California, back to Moncks Corner, South Carolina.
Damn, son.
That's completely insane.
By myself.
Oh man, that must have been rough.
Oh, dude, the only part that was rough was the drive through Texas, man.
Oh yeah, it's nothing but like, yeah.
It was horrible.
Was it because no AC?
No, I had AC, but just the view was tragic.
Just flat. Yeah. I mean, I've never driven through Texas, but like I've driven to like the very tip, which is El Paso.
Yeah.
But but after I got to El Paso, it's just like nothing else. Like
there's nothing. That's actually where I made it to the first day after I left the command and everything from Oceanside. That was where I fucking made it to that first night.
God,
that's pretty doable. Yeah.
But no, I was thinking it was like there, this is a line from the movie that we're going to talk about later today, but it's like that area where it's just flat land. It's like where the character Chicory talks about. It's like, I know the Earth is round, but man, it's so flat. Like I don't know if the Earth is like flat or round or what. It's like what? It's like what? I was like,
I love him to death. I know he's a fictional character, but damn.
He's just portrayed very. He was just portrayed very well by the actor. That's just all it is. But before we get into the movie review, let's get into the topics of the day. Robert, which one do you want to start with?
Why don't we start with the damn vaccine mandate crap and with the restaurants and like Gavin Newsom kind of because that's tied into it because haven't seen him in
for those of you unaware, Gavin Newsom's been MIA for about 12 days, almost 2 weeks, and he disappeared shortly after he got his booster for probably one of the either the Pfizer or the Moderna, I don't remember which. It was the booster for one of those shots, and since that time, no one's seen him. Not even like in like a Zoom call or just like a quick like public notice or something or press conference. Nothing.
Well, the other thing too is because this all happened, pretty much right after the recall election. He enacted his revenge, which I knew was going to happen. He passed,
right, and because it was interestingly only in Los Angeles, which is the home of his greatest rival, which was Larry Elder.
Yeah, and he helped pass this completely illegal, unconstitutional law, which is now, I think it's like restaurants, sports venues, bars, like any sort of like indoor seating. If you don't have some sort of like vaccination card, they will not serve you.
Okay. Let me say this. All right. To the viewers, you have what you call, which everybody knows about, is called the HIPAA law. It is against the law.
Federal law.
Yes, federal laws for anyone to ask you anything that pertains to your medical readiness. Let me say it again for the slow ones out there. It is against the law. The law, people, the freaking law. It's against the law for anybody to ask you for your medical information. Now, unless you're allergic to something, that's a different story.
Right, but then you give up that voluntarily, as opposed to a business or private institution demanding that you, release this information to them.
Exactly. In which people sit here and they're like, "Oh, it's not against the law. They're passing all these different laws." No, it's whichever law comes out first is the one that you abide by, because the one that comes out,
and also like
precedents.
Yeah, precedents, and then also because like Congress has not passed. Dude, I don't even know when. I don't even remember when Congress passed a law in this country. The Congress has not passed any law requiring people to or they have not rescinded HIPAA, or they haven't passed a law rescinding HIPAA or overriding HIPAA, because there's no such thing as.
It's like in Florida, what's his name? Governor DeSantis.
DeSantis, yeah.
Boy, I love that son. I love that SOB, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
Love him. That man, he flat out, he was like, "Look, this is how it's going to be. You got these little kids coming to school. You want to put them in a mask? Hey, okay, you want to do that? Go look for another job, or I fine you." Plain and simple. He turned around and told the restaurants, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. You want people to show their vaccines? Okay. For everyone that you ask, it's $5,000 a pop." That is not like oh, well, we got 4 people here. You're only going to charge me $5,000 for the 4 people? No, it's $20,000. He made that very clear when he put that out there. Like, the governor here in South Carolina, before he actually got up and made his political stance on this whole thing, my brother-in-law's my sister-in-law, her parents, this man is I've only known him since I've known my wife, but this man he's a hero to me. He served in the Navy. He got out. I believe he was a chief whenever he got out. He retired, either as a chief or a senior chief. But he was a fucking SEAL.
God damn.
Yeah, he's a good man. Yeah, he's a real deal.
Yeah, I have suspicions that my cousin was a SEAL, but he will neither confirm or deny it.
Well, I seen the man's uniform. That's how I found out, because he had the trident on his uniform.
Yeah, you don't fake that trident.
Yeah, no. Well, you fake that trident, that's your ass.
You're in big shit.
Yeah. Well, see, he was a hospital corpsman too.
Yeah.
And him and his wife, they went out for their anniversary. And matter of fact, it was down in Charleston, and they turned around and they got told, if you don't have the vaccine, you can't come in here. You cannot sit down. You cannot eat, or you can come in here. And it wasn't even just the fact that you got to have the vaccination card and you have to wear a mask. It was, It wasn't either or. It was you had to have the vaccine and the card, and you had to wear the mask in order to go into this restaurant and sit down and eat. And they turned around and walked off. Now, mind you, this was their anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally like a month later, Governor McMaster got up on the podium, and he was like, "All right, look, I know we want our state back up and running. We want businesses to thrive. We cannot let the government come into our state and dictate what we want and how we need to be run. This is what we're going to do from here. So from now on, if you choose to get the vaccine, you can get the vaccine. That's your choice. If you do not get the vaccine, nobody here in the state can ask you for your vaccine card. That is a HIPAA violation, and we're not doing it. If you go to a restaurant and you want to eat at a restaurant, they're not supposed to ask you for your vaccine card. But like I was told by a couple neighbors of mine and stuff, there are some still down in Charleston. They don't care. They're still asking for vaccine cards.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, like I said, yeah, I was telling Andy because I've been seeing that more, more recently with because it just, I think it came into effect. I think it was like sometime in October, and
No, they pushed it back actually because I know it was supposed to take effect in October, but they pushed it back to I think just this week.
Oh, they ended up pushing it back because I
Yeah.
know like there's been a few places where I've seen that. It's like, I walked out. It's like, okay, well then I'm not gonna spend money here. It's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
No, because I've been going either this week or sometime last week was when it was supposed to take an effect, and I saw the sign. I started to see the signs where it's like, oh, you have to show proof to get it, and some places where I think were maybe it was like they're doing it tiered because like I went out to a few clubs and they had they had the requirement or whatever. But I think because I think back then it was just like kind of like entertainment venues like bars, clubs, breweries, and things like that. But I think now like it's open. Like, I think this month it opened up to like restaurants and things like that. But I saw the restaurants and so far no in the restaurants no one's like ever stopped to be like, oh, let me see your vaccine, like your papers please. That hasn't happened yet. But I know that's the big worry, even in my own family, because they're like completely bought into like the fear narrative, and it's like, oh, if you don't do it, then the government won't let you do anything in life, and it's like, I don't care, like I don't.
That's
It's like it's like my mom was like saying like, oh, if you don't get the vaccine and you don't get the card, then you won't be able to go to restaurants. Like, well, then I just won't go to restaurants.
Yeah, that's and this isn't like a comment of like don't get the vaccine. Like you have that choice. Like I don't really care like what people do, but the fact that like you have these businesses that are it's not the government is kind of like they're using these private companies like these restaurants, these small business owners, they're using them as the cudgel, like that they're using, and they're putting
they're in turn being
on them,
because they're in turn being
because they don't have the
cudgeled.
balls, like kind of like they know that their laws are unconstitutional, so they're kind of like circumventing that by forcing private business.
I mean, if Joe Biden really wanted to enforce this thing, he would have sent National Guard troops. Even though there's not enough, there's really not enough. But he would have sent National Guard, or he would have sent the Army to go and enforce this thing. But no, he's telling, oh, OSHA is going to enforce it, or he puts the onus of enforcement on, private institutions, private businesses. And
well, in a sense, he is kind of enforcing it because you actually have business owners who are laying people. Matter of fact, and I can't. There's a. I think it was here in South Carolina or in North Carolina. But there was like 2,500 something police and firefighters that refused to get the vaccine, to get the mandated vaccines, and they literally got fired. They literally got fired. And what was it? There's sergeants. Matter of fact, a couple of guys that my friend knows, they actually got released from the Marine Corps because they wouldn't do the vaccine.
Right. Yeah. And even aren't they trying to? I don't know. Isn't Biden was advocating that the people that let go are dishonorably discharged.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up because which then was it disqualifies them from getting a pension or
it qualifies them from getting any kind of which is really sad because it if you get a dishonorable discharge from the military, you
lose a lot of benefits.
Yeah, you can't go to the VA, you can't go to the Veterans Administration and get help medically, which I haven't known. If you can, correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen it. I've never known anybody to be able to do it because I had a couple guys that was stationed with me that got dishonorably discharged, and they went to go do their VA paperwork before they got out, and they were told they couldn't do it because they were getting kicked out. It wasn't they were getting voluntarily separated. They were getting kicked out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then the other thing is like there's no government job that'll take you, and there's a lot of private businesses that won't take you either.
Bro, you can't go flip a burger at Burger King,
which is insane. It's like it's almost like you were thrown into prison. Because you're a convict almost. It's like, which not a lot of people talk about. Anything other than an honorable discharge, because they have something called other than honorable discharge, which is essentially like you fucked up. It's a dishonorable discharge. It's like
no. Don't go there. An other than honorable discharge is basically, look, you had a slap on the wrist. Or you had a non-judicial punishment while you were in. You got in a little bit of trouble while you were in your evals while you were in because you were subpar. You didn't work at your full potential. You get what they call as an other than honorable discharge. So you can actually take that other than honorable discharge after 6 months of being out, and you can go and file. And I can't remember the paperwork, what it's called, but you can go to the VA. You can still get your benefits, and you'll get half the benefits if I'm not mistaken. But you can actually go within 6 months to 18 months or something like that, and you can file this paperwork, and you can get an honorable discharge. It won't be honorable. It'll be an honorable discharge.
Right. So so other than honorable discharge is kind of like almost like a layover into getting an honorable discharge. You just have to go through like some sort of like.
See, that's news to me because I was always told like, dude, just you're fucked either way if you get anything other than an honorable discharge.
Well, because whenever they go and they look at these, whenever they look at your performances through your evals through your military career, they look and they set it up and they calculate everything, and then they take your final eval and they put that in there as well. And if you say like for me, all right, for example, I actually was going to get an other than honorable discharge, because whenever I was getting out, I had a chief that did not like me. He could not stand me because I was straightforward to the point and I didn't kiss his black ass. And I'll say it, yes, no, people, I'm not racist. I hate everybody equally. I'm an equal opportunity hater. Okay? I don't care.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I don't care. This man could not stand me. I gave him, he outranked me. He outranked me by 4 ranks. Um, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Um, I was an HM3. He was a chief. Um, so he outranked me by 3. Excuse me. Damn, it's been a while. But I got him so much stuff. I did everything that he had asked me to do. The last couple months that I was at the command, I was not there. I was actually running a motor operated vehicle unit as their foreman. I was their medical personnel. So if anybody got in trouble, that was me. That's what I was doing. I also did stuff back at the command where I was running, ops. I was running, I was mapping people out to go help, different Marines go to firing ranges. I was doing that while I was gone. And this man still wanted to turn around because I didn't get my FMF pin. That was optional. Now, this was optional as an E4. It's not optional as an E5 as a corpsman. But I didn't get the pin. I was one step away. I had to do my board, and then I would have done, and I would have got it. But because it was my last day, and they, shipped me to another command to actually do something else, I wasn't able to get my pin. But he tried to give me a 0 for my eval, which is telling everybody I was piss poor. But I had some pull. I had a sergeant major backing me that I actually saved his life whenever I was deployed to Iraq. And so he actually came with me. He went to talk to the command master chief, which was a friend of mine. He was actually a senior chief at the time, was supposed to be getting promoted to master chief, but he was a senior chief. So I had him, I had the sergeant major, I had my captain, and then I had another lieutenant and another chief. That was actually, I had all these people there. Oh, and I had my gunny from the place that I was transferred to. I had all these people backing me up, saying that I wasn't a turd. And the captain at my command turned around and made him change my eval, and he rated me out as a above average, above performance sailor. So I got out with a 4.0 eval.
Jesus Christ.
Nice.
So
yeah, it goes to show you, it really is about who you know.
Oh, it is.
And who knows you?
Yeah.
Well, because if you didn't cultivate the relationship or the reputation, these men, those men wouldn't have come to your
right.
To your aid.
Like I tell people, it's because I got people now that know my kids, and they come to me and they ask me, they're like, oh, I see that you were in the military. Your daughter talks about it all the time. Your son talks about it all the time. What do you think about this? Well, did you shop around first off to see which branch is going to best suit your needs? Because what a lot of people don't understand is it's just like going out and picking out a car or going out and picking out clothes. It's whichever military branch is going to, and by the way, y'all, the Marine Corps is a subsidiary of the Navy.
Thank you.
So you better think twice before y'all say the Department of the Marine Corps.
So the Department of the Navy.
Yes. You're in part of the Department of the Navy, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. And Coast Guard is not technically a branch of the military service. Sorry.
Although I think they are now considered one of the 8 branches.
I think they are. Yeah. But it's military service is pretty much what you make of it. And a lot of people who join the Army, join the Marines, I love my Marines. But a lot of y'all jarheads, a lot of y'all devil dogs were kids that were picked on in school and just wanted to go through boot camp so y'all could come home and kick the shit out of the people that bullied y'all.
Yeah.
But
But getting back to like what we were talking about, great digression. It is Veterans Day coming up, so
right.
I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about the military.
sorry, plug that in there.
Yeah.
That's all
I was
right.
actually thinking about going in the Marines after high school, but
the issue is like with like these
Made a crayon eater.
Yeah. They never change, dude. Never change. But what we're talking about like here with like all these like these mandates, what I I don't get, to be honest, I don't get mad at the people who are people who are working there. Like that's not their fault. Like I don't show them any disrespect. I don't shout at their face. Treat them disrespectfully. But like it's just one of the things. Okay, fine. If this business is going to enforce this, vaccinated or not, like you have no right to ask me for any of this stuff, and I'm not going to give you my money. It's like I can go home. I can make food for myself. I choose to come out here and spend my money. But if you don't want it, I will gladly go home.
Yeah. Or like or just if you're gonna make conditions on like of getting my money, then I'm gonna put up conditions on you like what's the turning the tables, just be like, oh, if it was a woman, like, oh, what was the result of your last pap smear? If you're gonna put conditions on like me, for your services, I'm gonna have conditions on like you getting my money. And one of those conditions is you telling me what the result of your last pap smear was. What was the result of your last prostate exam?
Have you had an AIDS test recently?
I know. It's like have you ever had an STD? Like, what is your sexual history?
What was your last?
Like, how many times have you taken in the ass?
Yeah. What was your last TB test or like polio, vaccination? Like, it's ridiculous.
No, I got one. What's your nip look like? If it looks like a little boy nip, you got to go on somewhere.
Yeah, but
if it looks like pepperoni, then we have to talk.
But the idea that if they're gonna like ask for that stuff, it's like the only way that's gonna change. Okay, like then fine, then you stop going to these places. They're gonna go out of business, and then there's gonna be a lot of hell to pay. Somewhere down the line. It's. I do not want to comply. I don't want to give my money to places that are wanting to do this.
I will not lie to you guys. I will tell y'all flat out. If I were to walk into a restaurant right now and y'all could come with me, I don't care. I'd put y'all on live broadcast with these two fools right here. I will tell the manager. I will ask for the manager. I will ask for the business owner. If they cannot comply with the business owner, then I'll take the manager, not a problem. But I'm gonna write on the napkin a couple of my demands, and if they cannot meet those, I will get up and I will walk out. Because I'm sorry, but if you're gonna ask for my stuff, I'm gonna ask for yours too.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
It's and here's the thing. Everyone's like, and I know a lot of people on the right and stuff. It's like, oh, it's unconstitutional. It's not a law. It wasn't passed by the legislature. And I think one of the things that we have to, kind of unlearn is that kind of like, oh, the system. You have to go through the system to be valid. It's like that's not true. It's like if it's enforced, then it's a law.
That's what a lot of these crazy politicians are realizing. It's like, oh well, we can circumvent all this stuff. Like
exactly.
If we scare enough people into believing this stuff, and we just kind of pass
a law, not just like the fear, but then threaten them with onerous fees or citations, then we can get them to do things, and that's exactly what they're doing. And so it doesn't matter like if the legislature passed it or whatever. It's if it gets enforced, it's a law. I mean, like jaywalking. It's like I jaywalk all the time, but I've never even sometimes like right in front of a cop, but I've never gotten a ticket for it. Or fine. So it's like it's not if it's not enforced, it's not a law.
Look here, I walked from Balboa Hospital in San Diego to that what was it, the San Diego Mall?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That is a long behind walk.
Fuck yeah, it is.
And I'm gonna tell you what, through that walk, I know several streets. I'm from South Carolina, man. We don't have the hand that goes, stop, and the little dude that goes, hey, walk. We don't have that crap. We got a red light and a green light that says, hey, if you don't stop, you're going to get run over, period. And I'm 40 years old. I was 20-something when I was going through. I thought I was invincible. And I actually had somebody actually hit me in the ass. Because as I was walking across the street, they were turning, and they actually hit me with their bumper on my butt. It scared the living bejesus out of me. And I was like,
man.
Maybe I should pay attention to everybody not walking across the street and going, hey, you shouldn't walk.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've actually done it. Like Andy said, I've done it in front of cops. I've done it in front of several people that should have ran my behind over. But I've never gotten a jaywalking ticket. I've been stopped after I've walked across the street by a cop that was, just standing there because one of a homeless guy got into a fight or something. But usually it was just, hey, you're not supposed to walk across the street. What's wrong with you? Sorry, I'm not from here. I don't know what you're talking about. And they would just let me go. But actually about this vaccine stuff that y'all are talking about, or that we're all talking about, look here. Y'all assholes on Facebook quit with the vaccine crap. If we choose to get it, we choose to get it. If we don't, we don't. Whatever. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how it's not about health, because because if it really was about health, then they would talk about people who've already gotten it and have antibodies, or people who are just relatively healthy, or like sports athletes. They're the peakest of peak condition, and yet they're being put upon by these mandates and such. I mean, look at Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. Like he is taking a stand. He's been put on unpaid leave or whatever, and he's not able to play. But interestingly enough, like some of these, the mandates don't make sense, because if the Golden State Warriors were gonna play the Brooklyn Nets, there's no onus on the Golden State Warriors to be vaccinated. Only the Brooklyn Nets.
Yep.
And so all and again, it's it's one of those things where it's every city should come up with their own thing, but it's how does that make sense? So the Golden State Warriors can come to Brooklyn and they could go around be super spreaders, and that's fine, but none of the Brooklyn Net players can go without having the vaccine.
Yeah, it's one of those really just dumb things, and of course no one's standing by Kyrie Irving at all, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean the only person that I know of is Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather put out a Instagram video just telling Kyrie Irving that he's proud of him. It's keep your head up, fight the good fight and all that stuff. But
let's be honest, Kyrie Irving is not hurting. He's crying to his $100 bills.
Right. I mean, yeah, but but you gotta, but you gotta give it up to him. You gotta give it up to him because he's at least taking a stand.
Yeah,
which is more, and I think that should dispel the notion of this idea of the black community, or the Asian community, because where are the black people who are standing up with Kyrie Irving right now. There's not a single black person that's that's standing with Kyrie Irving right now.
And I think the other person that is also taking a stand, and for a different reason, like, is Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers, the quarterback for the Packers. Mm-hmm. He, his reason is like, because a lot of people are like, why isn't Aaron Rodgers speaking out about the vaccine and how he's been kind of like, kind of dodging the issue. It's like, well, he finally came out. It's like, if I get this vaccine, I will die because the ingredients that are in this vaccine, I am allergic to, deadly allergic to. So, do you want me to die? It's like, and he's not even saying like, don't get the vaccine. It's or like that he's like against the vaccine. He's just like, I can't get it because I will die.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what? It's like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to die, or do you and it's like all these like blue check marks on Twitter and all this like, oh, Aaron Rodgers should shut the fuck up about like his, he's a anti-vaxxer and all. It's like, no, he's not. He never said it was like he's against the vaccine or that he's against people getting the vaccine. He just said like why he can't get the vaccine and why he has chosen not to, because he doesn't want to fucking die.
Yeah. And isn't it hilarious that when Joe Rogan came out and was like saying how after talking with his doctor, and like doing like the kitchen sink approach and just throwing everything at it, and then taking the the drug that shall not be named, ivermectin. And it's like everyone's like, oh, and like
even
terrible. And even prior when he was saying like, oh, I don't think, and he was just expressing his own opinion. It's like, I don't think 21-year-olds should be getting the vaccine, especially the ones who are healthy. Everyone's like, oh, what does Joe Rogan know? But then the characters from Sesame Street come out and say like, oh, I got my jab, so do your part and get your jab. It's like, oh yeah, everyone should listen to Big Bird. It's like, what?
Fuck all that shit. That is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Like, yeah, because they're going after the kids with that. I mean, that say what you want. But why use beloved childhood characters to push something? It's because it's about the kids. It's about getting the kids.
Yeah, like from personal experience, I've my 18-year-old daughter had it. Mm-hmm. She didn't have the vaccine. She had COVID. Mm-hmm. She still refuses to, or not refuses, but she's got her doubts about getting the vaccine. Mm-hmm. My older brother, love him to death. He's a pain in my butt. Keeps me straight on the narrow. And, he got the vaccine. And I'm going to tell you what. My brother has been a healthy man ever since. He's always had skin tone. He's always been tan. He's 5 years older than I am. Mm-hmm. I seen my brother for the first time. I think it was about a month and a half after he got the vaccine. Mm-hmm. And he literally, about 10 days after he got the vaccine, they actually had to take him to the emergency room. Mm-hmm. He was having a reaction. They said it was like food, from the food illness that he was he had ate something that didn't agree with him, so he's breaking out in hives. But yet
that's a food allergy.
Yeah, they said it was a food allergy. I was talking to a buddy of mine that did some of the testing with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that he got, and he said no, the reaction that he's having is from the shot. It was closing up his airway. He was breaking out in hives. He'd go to eat. He'd be sitting down 1 minute. He'd have to get back up because he was hurting so bad, and he was breaking out. He literally had hives all over his body, and his airway was shutting down. He showed up at my house to drop off a TV to me, and man, I'm gonna tell you what. And this was after a month of having this shot. He had literally looked like welts on his skin. ant bites up on his chest up here, but it wasn't ant bites, and it wasn't from the prickly heat, what they call as prickly heat. To me, it was from the vaccine. Because I've seen reactions to different injections and stuff, and that's from the vaccine. He pale skin. He looked almost damn 10 years older than what he should be.
Jesus.
And I was like, holy crap, what the hell happened to your health? And he was like, I don't know, I was doing good, and then I got the shot. And I said, there's your sign there, buddy.
Yeah, like, well, another
and this
one too. Like he got it, and like he says, like he has like ever since he got it, he's had this like really like bad like pain in his shoulder and like in his through his rib cage, and it's like I was fine before I got this thing, and ever since I got that, like I've had this giant pain and there's everyone says I'm crazy. It's like no, I have this pain here, and it's just it's really like not. There's a lot of people that are having reactions to it in a bad way.
David, you said that your brother took the Johnson & Johnson one?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess we're kind of rolling into the other topic, but it's like lying eyes, it's like, they keep telling us, they don't even, they just stop like even like putting up the fig leaf of what is it, of reason or science, because, now it's just like, with these latest mandates, Biden just says like, oh, we know that mandates work. It's like, by what standard? It's like, show me the numbers. Like, show me where you've implemented a mandate, the cases went down, or like when you've mandated the shot, like the number of hospitalizations went down. It's like, but they don't even do that anymore. They just say it works. Just shut up and do as I say. But yeah, it's just like, and like, it's like the whole thing about don't trust your lying eyes. When they're talking, when the vaccine first came out, the CDC director was saying like, oh, these will completely, these will keep you from getting it. You can't transmit, once you get it. You can take off your mask. It's like, but now it's like, oh yeah, everyone has to mask. Everyone, you can still get it. You can still transmit it, but the symptoms won't be that bad, and you won't have to, you won't be you won't have to hospitalize. You won't have to go to the hospital once you have it. So, but that's not the case anymore. I mean, the most famous breakthrough case that I know of is Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya, who was at the time he was training to fight. He was supposed to fight like a couple weeks back, but he got COVID and he had to go to the hospital, and he was double jabbed. And since he was training, he was probably at the peak of physical, peak
the guy
of
was
his
at peak physical fitness for his
yeah,
age.
Exactly. So it's like, and he got hit hard. Like he did like an Instagram video from the hospital. Like he got the oxygen and and everything. And so it's like, why do I still need to get this? Like if it doesn't stop me from getting yes, it's basically a symptom mitigator now. But it doesn't prevent me from getting it, and it doesn't prevent transmission.
Well, it's like I sit here and I don't have cable TV at home, so the only way I can watch like the news is if I go on YouTube and I see the little clips, of CNN, Fox News, all that jazz. So I pretty much watch Fox News, CNN, Channel 2 News for over here, Channel 5, whatever, bits and clips and stuff. And there are topics with Biden sitting here talking about, oh, the vaccine works, but you're still going to get it. And it's like,
well, no, then it doesn't work.
If the vaccine worked, you would not get it. And
right, precisely.
It's
like in April that the CDC director was saying like, oh, if you get the shot, then you can't you won't contract it, you won't be able to transmit it, everything will be good. But then in August, all that change. It's like, oh no, even if you do get it, you still get it. Your symptoms won't be that bad. You won't have to go to the hospital, but you still will be able to transmit it. So you'll be able to give it to other people still.
Well, it's like, what? Damn, I hate that freaking. Well, I can't say I hate her because I don't know her, but the news press woman,
Jen Psaki.
Yeah, Jen Psaki.
What's that?
Circle back Psaki.
Yeah, that stupid bitch. She sits here. She's like, oh, Oh, by the way, somebody who got the vaccine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, someone who's been double vaxxed.
She tested positive, people. Come on now. For somebody who says that they got the vaccine, okay, and they say, oh, everybody's got to show that they got the vaccine. Well, guess what? If you're White House staff and you got the vaccine, if we got to show ours, you got to show yours too.
Well, actually, I think the White House, the CDC, and a few other government, Congress, they're one of the few organizations that don't mandate the vaccine.
Well, according to her, the Biden administration has to get their vaccines.
That's bullshit.
I call bullshit on that. But
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't believe any of them jackasses got the vaccine.
No, neither do I.
And here's my reason why. None of them, after getting the vaccine, what they got was a water shot. It's called
saline or whatever, placebo.
Yeah, it's a placebo effect. So basically, they get the saline shot, they get the water shot, and then they're still walking around saying, "Oh, look, we got it. Nothing's happening to us." But yet, all these millions and millions of Americans and people from other countries as well, foreigners and all that, who get this shot, turn around, we end up sick from this crap. But nothing's going on with them. So you tell me who's getting the vaccine and who's not.
Yeah, and I mean, what is it? Like they weren't even mandating that people coming in, at the border to be getting it. People who were testing positive for this, they weren't even halted. They weren't put into quarantine. They weren't, they weren't mandated to get the shot.
But get on a plane, and I guarantee you ain't gonna get on that plane without that vaccine card.
Oh yeah, of course.
I ain't on a goddamn plane.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the vaccine passport, is what they call it. Just like.
Well, I mean, this just goes back to another movie that I tend to quote in a lot of these situations, which is Ace in the Hole. Kirk Douglas's character talks about how good news is no news.
Yep.
And what happens is that you have these legacy media types. It's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all these ABC, whatever, all these guys. Then you also have our government officials, they want to stay in power, so they lie. They lie and lie and lie, and because the media is not your friend, they have a vested interest in having viewers. So if they keep you in fear, they keep you tuning in because they have the solution. They never quite give it to you, but they give you just enough to keep you coming back for more.
Yeah,
and they want you to keep viewing, and they're it's like they're just giving you just enough just to kind of give you they have the real scoop on what's going on. And of course,
right.
the media and the government are hand in hand. They are doing the same fucking thing.
Yep.
They are.
Joe Biden ran his campaign on the promise that I'm going to stop COVID. It's well, why don't you tell us so we can get over it faster? It's no, only if I'm elected. It's
yeah, it's all bullshit. I'm just saying, like I said, it's this whole idea. I'm telling you guys, watch, if you haven't seen these movies, watch Ace in the Hole, watch Network, watch Nightcrawler, watch all this shit of how the media, it's been going. Trust me, it's been happening for a long fucking time.
This isn't new. This isn't some recent
This goes back to the 20s and 30s. You had that like New York Times article talking about like the Soviet Union, like I've seen the future and it works, and how like Stalin was like systematically killing people on his like cannibal islands and gulags, but like
Gulag archipelagos.
Oh man, like the Soviet Union is like this brand new government that's revolutionary.
Hey, here, just in case there's some viewers out there who voted for Biden and getting pissed off. You voted for this man.
I have no sympathy.
No sympathies. Yeah, me and Rob, we have no sympathies.
Oh no, hold on, wait a minute. And he tripped up going up a flight of stairs.
You don't trip up a flight of stairs.
Yeah, but that's emblematic of like just people on the left or Democrats in general, where it's like failing upwards.
That's I forgot about that. That's a good idea. But they made fun of Gerald Ford for. I mean, they're still making fun of Gerald Ford for like falling downstairs, which can happen. But falling upstairs, I have never fucking seen that shit.
Yeah, how does that work?
Hold up. Now wait a minute. Now, just recently, I don't know if y'all have seen it yet. This man, he shit himself. And
allegedly, but I can believe it.
Well, you also had what's his face that was in.
Oh, but what about him farting in front of Camilla Bowles?
Jerry Nadler shit himself too.
Oh yeah, the little shuffle he did during that press conference.
He shit himself.
Dude, he totally shit himself.
I know that shuffle. I've been there.
I know everyone knows that shuffle because we've all done it. Right after a Taco Bell run or a late night, Jack in the Box, excursion.
I've been there, man.
Right, we've all had that. We've all had that. Yeah, but what was it like? It also came out that like Biden let out this huge long fart in front of the royals.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Allegedly, YouTube. Allegedly, Susan. Allegedly.
But I'll tell you what, man, ain't nothing beats them shuffles from Jack in the Box from back in the day, boy.
Oh, that was
eating up tacos.
He was doing the Jack in the Box shuffle. Like, I mean, he fucking shit himself.
Robert, do you remember having to go from the barracks at Camp Pendleton to almost to San Clemente just to get the Jack in the Box in the middle of the night?
That's a long fucking drive. Let me tell you, that's a 30-mile drive.
Yeah.
That is,
and we used to do that at least once a week.
Well, of course. I mean, especially back in the day, that was the move. You go out, you party it up a little bit. Late night, everything's closed except for the Jack in the Box drive-through.
Him and I were roommates in the ferry. That so. Like a lot, and I drove most.
You're like, yo, let's go.
On weekends,
get some tacos, get some get some fries, get a burger. Yeah, that's the move. That's the move. You're gonna pay for it, but you know this going in, so it does. It doesn't matter.
It's all good. But like I said, it's just. I'll say I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. I'll say it a million more times. Like the media, the government, they're not your friend. They're not there to solve your problems.
They're not there to give you solutions.
And people are like, "Oh, you're just a Fox News acolyte." It's like, no, I don't. I hate Fox News. I think they're terrible too. They're the same fucking thing. Like there's that meme of like the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other. It's like, oh. It's like that's what Fox News and CNN are the same fucking thing. They're terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they don't care about.
They're okay. The only thing I'll give them is like there's certain Fox personalities that I like, but like other than that, that's about it.
You have occasionally these media members that like stumble into some form of journalism. Like a broken clock is right twice a day. It's kind of that factor.
I think Jake Tapper should get that tattooed on his forehead.
Oh, I mean, seriously, like
Because he's the best example of it. Oh, at least on CNN, he's the best example of it. Because sometimes he's a huge shill, and he'll go into like the whole like virtue signaling whatever. But then other times he'll ask like pretty like pointed questions. So it's like, that is like, so yeah, he should definitely get that tattooed on his forehead because he's the living embodiment of that saying.
But it happened on Fox News too, because like there's a lot of like, there's some guys where I'm like, okay, like they're stumbling into some journalism, but like, and they do like, sometimes Fox News asks like more like they're actually asking questions, like, okay, but like a lot of the time like they're terrible too, like they're really bad. It's really sad how terrible it is, and like when you actually have people doing actual journalism, you get the FBI raiding them because like they stumble into like they don't stumble into something, they figure out like, hey, there's some nefarious shit going on. Case in point, Project Veritas, who has been doing journalism, they have been really breaking a lot of news stories. They found, I don't know where they found it, but they found Joe Biden's like journal of pretty much
his daughter's journal,
pedophile, and the FBI raided their company.
Yeah, supposedly like she left it in some like hotel room, which then like I don't know was then either found by some tipster or even straight up Project Veritas investigator who like happened to be who stayed at the same hotel and got the same room or whatever. But yeah, it's just like, but then and this information came out like a while ago, like last year or like sometime before, but no one pounced on it.
No.
And then because it couldn't have been or it wasn't able to be corroborated. But with this raid, it kind of does corroborate that the diary could be authentic. Because if it was nothing, if it wasn't her actual diary, then the FBI wouldn't do anything about it. They would have just been like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, and just let Project Veritas put out these stories about allegedly that this is Ashley Biden's diary. But now we're like since they went after it, people are starting to kind of like stroke their chins, going like, could it be real?
Well, just think about the fella who, what was it? Biden's son's laptop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, old boy turned around and went to a computer repair shop. Turned around and had emails, to the Ukrainian government talking about, I'm gonna send you this money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Make sure the big guy gets his cut.
Exactly. And next thing you know,
several computers. He's left several computers around the fucking country.
Exactly. Right. And they turn around, and as soon as this guy brought to light that, hey, look, matter of fact, I think it was Trump who alluded to it and everything, because it was brought up during the campaigning, and he was like, oh, look, I found this laptop sitting on my shelf that I had to repair, and I had to clean it up and stuff, and I found all this documentation and emails and all this crap. And
it was a good thing. It was a good thing that repair guy even like made himself a copy, because he turned in the original, but he saved himself a copy of all the files.
Yep.
Because Rudy Giuliani had a copy. He where he got that like copy of it, and it's like when the FBI raided Giuliani, it's like, hey, I have all this evidence of like stuff that you should be looking into. It's like, no, we don't care about that. It's like, really? Because this is super important. This is something that you should be looking into, because there's a lot of criminal activity here. Now, personally, I don't give a crap about Hunter Biden's like drug problems or his like hooker problems or whatever. Like, that's really nothing that I care about. I don't care about, to be honest, I don't care about the first lady or the first family. Like, if they have like their own like personal demons or whatever, that's their own thing. But like when you're actually doing like illegal activity and you have you have the president or that's also involved in that illegal activity. That I care about, because you're selling out secrets and influence to these other countries that want to destroy us. China is not our friend.
No.
Iran is not our friend. But you're wanting to go around the world and just selling influence, and and just, oh well, we're gonna get this $50 billion somehow, and it's like, really? That's not something that you should look into. It's just really terrible, and this is stuff that the media will always say, oh, it's we can't, we don't want to look into that. It's fake news, or it's just a conspiracy. It's like, really? It's not a conspiracy, because there's so much evidence, and it's from multiple sources that can be confirmed. They're not anonymous sources, they're actual sources.
And it's like, here, let me wipe my ass with your paperwork.
Yeah, I mean, it's because those emails are damning. It's like, here's a guy who's like selling out influence to other countries and like compromising himself. You don't think like China's gonna call in that a favor one day, where it's like, hey, like all these businesses are saying that they want to move back to America. Make sure that doesn't happen. It's like, yeah, it's like, yes, sir. Biden's gonna like put some executive order into place, or he's gonna like stir up some movement to try and keep all those jobs, manufacturing jobs in China. It's like,
No, it seems
what
like,
about us?
I'll fully admit it. Like when Trump came in and he was like, I'm gonna be, I want to be president and everything like that. I was like, heck yeah. I was like, because he was promising, bringing a, taxing the bit, taxing the, the higher, the upper class and everything more than what he was the lower class. And the middleman, he was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna give y'all a break too, but what I'm gonna do is these companies who are supposed to be quote unquote American made products, who are working in, say, like Mexico, have their factory built in Mexico. Well, when y'all ship stuff in, you're technically not being taxed. You getting your taxes.
Right. Yeah. He incentivized them to move their businesses back into the country.
Yeah.
By putting a tariff on all imported items. And so yeah, like Ford, they have a bunch of factories in Mexico, and so it's like, when Trump came in, it's like, hey, maybe you keep your factories here in America, and you could save some money, because I'm about to up the tariff, because all the products coming from China, there is no tariff on them.
It was a way to incentivize businesses to come back to the U.S., have their jobs here,
right? To get Americans working and everything.
Shorten the supply chains, which which now doesn't seem like such a terrible idea. With like all those boats out there in Long Beach Harbor.
But damn, these people who voted for Biden, hey, congratulations, guys, you screwed us.
Yeah.
Because that son of a bitch right there, he turned around and he stopped everything. I don't think he did great.
Yeah, and a lot of people were confused, because especially like the union guys, like the Keystone Pipeline guy, literally they had a job, and 24 hours later they had no job.
Yeah, it was a bait and switch in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But the thing is, it technically wasn't, because he was saying that from the get-go, and yet those people still voted for him. It's like,
he was just saying, oh, if you vote for me, if you vote for me thinking that your taxes are gonna go down, you're wrong. I was like, what? And people still voted for this jackass?
It's like, are you an idiot? Because that's kind of that's sort of in a lot of ways, I don't feel sorry for those guys, because you brought it upon yourself at that point.
Yeah, no quarter. You
cost yourself a job.
I know, seriously. Yeah.
They sit here and they want to get, the people who voted for Biden, they get mad, at the Trump supporters and all that because Trump had a problem. He did. He did. I'll openly admit he did. He had a social media fetish, I guess. He couldn't stay his ass off Twitter. But you know what? That was the one beautiful thing that that I admired about Trump was the fact that okay, you know what? Somebody said something about him. It was or this country. It was basically of hey, guess what? Got you on social media. Okay, cool. I got you. We gonna kick your door in. That's what we gonna do. And he do it. Look what the damn the Taliban leaders and stuff before they attacked or before the suicide bomb went off and stuff that killed the 13 Americans. They told us flat out, or they told Biden's administration flat out, we don't want to talk to Biden. We'd rather talk to Trump.
Yeah.
Even though Trump was like, hey, look, let me get my people out of there and you can have that dust ball. That's pretty much what he said. Let me get my guys out and y'all can have that dust ball of a country all you want.
Yeah, I mean, all Biden had to do was follow the plan that Trump had left behind. But no, like he couldn't let Trump have a W. So he pushed back the withdrawal date to some like symbol to 9/11 for some like symbolic gestures like oh yeah our country entered in a war on 9/11 and our country's gonna leave a war in 9/11. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, I look at that as like the the Saigon exit from like Vietnam. It's just like what a disaster.
Dude,
like,
everyone and every political analyst was making that same comparison. Because you had that Chinook flying over Kabul. It's like eerily in the same way that last Chinook from Saigon, was pulling out. It's like the parallels, are right there in your face.
Well, just think about it. Just think about this right here. You got the pandemic that's going on, right? And you have Americans still over there in Afghanistan. But yeah, you're going to take, what was it, C-117s? You're going to take, or C-1, was it C-117s or C-130s? But he turned around and filled 8 of them bastards up with Afghani refugees.
Yeah, males of fighting age, too.
Yes, yeah. No, and that's what killed.
Sorry, Andy. The media, those are children.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Their beards threw me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of course, those are juvenile beards. Those are juvenile beards. Of course. Those are juvenile beards.
I went overseas, and if you got peach fuzz, or don't have peach fuzz, if you can stand and hold your penis, you're a male of fighting age. I'm sorry. I watched them little bastards over there in Iraq. Little girl picked up some candy that we tossed out of our Humvees and 7 tons going up and down the street and stuff. And yes, I did a lot of foot patrols. Yes, we did some vehicle moving, but you know what? We also gave hearts and minds out there to these little kids, showing them that hey, America's not really as bad as you're being told. But I watched these little boys who were probably 7, 8 years old walk up and cock a 16, 17-year-old girl, and while she's sitting there holding her face, they're kicking in her stomach and kicking in her chest, and they're just beating the crap out of her for a couple pieces of candy, all because she got a handful. They didn't like it.
Okay.
Or she dared show her ankle.
Right.
Oh Jesus.
But it just the thing is like we have a country of to be honest, we have kind of like a world of people who are these blue check marks on Twitter. You have a bunch of people on Instagram. You have corporations. You have the government. You have the legacy media who are propagating like a lot of this like fear. And because we are, especially in this country, we do believe in the idea of, we do tend to give a lot of leeway to people who are in who are, we would consider authority figures. It's like, oh, they're the experts, they're an authority, they know better than we do. And yes, in a lot of ways, like when it comes to like when we're doing, I know this is someone who did a lot of like research projects and like did a lot of research papers. Obviously you're going to go to the guy that like has the accolades, that has that does have a lot of stuff, and that's who you're going to cite because they do have a lot more gravitas. But because that's in our society and these people know that that's what people gravitate towards, so they come up with these whether they're accurate or fake credentials that don't mean shit. People tend to listen to these people because these are the experts. And yeah, you might be like someone who's like very smart, but they buy into the wizardry of the accolades and the authority of these people. And we just got to listen to them, they know better than us. And it's like, no they don't, they actually probably know a lot less than you do. It's like, and that's kind of like the fakery that's put in front of us. And I'm seeing like not only like friendships being broken up, companies are being broken up, small businesses at least, but like families are even being broken up over this shit. And it's so insane to me that in a lot of ways, like, I mean, everyone's kind of comparing this like to be like kind of a civil war. In a way it is. It's a cold civil war because lines are being drawn. It's not how it was back in like the 19th century where you have the North and the South and the Confederacy and the Union, but it's happening in people's houses, like where lines are being drawn. It's happening in friendships, lines are being drawn. And we are far from a united country. Like there's interstate, like it doesn't matter. It's like there's so many of these political lines that are being drawn that are being caused by our crappy government, our crappy media. It's really disheartening to me, because I see all the magic tricks that are being like cast by these people, and it's like, come on, people, wake up. And it's like, you're a smart person, how do you not see this? How do you not like it's like, had this been like 10 years ago, it's like, oh, you're wearing if somebody had like said this stuff to me, and like, oh, you're just wearing a tinfoil hat, you're believing in these conspiracy theories, like, well, now I'm like, wait a second, these people were right to begin with. It's not everything, don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of like really crazy shit out there, but in a lot of ways there's a lot of shit going on that people don't even realize. And it's just like, come on, it's right there, they're not even hiding it anymore.
Yeah.
But
although I would contend
out front.
I would contend that the only difference between conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 months.
Yeah, that's what. I know everyone like wants to shit on like guys like Alex Jones and stuff like that, but like there's been a lot of times where that guy's been like 100% correct.
Mm-hmm. On a lot did he articulate it did he articulate it in the best way? No, but
no, he did not.
But he was getting the truth out there. I mean, like, everyone gets on him about the whole like gay frogs thing, but
he was right. He was right about that.
The bigger truth was that yes, this pharmaceutical company was dumping the synthetic hormone into a nearby river or creek, and subsequently the frogs were, yes, they were the sexes were being changed, or like the male frogs specifically were, becoming more feminized or gynocized.
Whatever that term is.
Whatever it is.
Well, and
whatever it is that applies to frogs.
He's also been on the front line of the whole like pedophile front, like in Hollywood and all that stuff, and or even like Corey Feldman. Like I would have thought that guy was like he's nuts. Like he doesn't know what the hell he's just been turned crazy by Hollywood, whatever.
Yeah, or it's like he's just been out of the limelight, so he just wants some attention. But
no, that guy has been proven correct, and it's just like like I said 10 years ago, it's like no fucking way. There's just I mean obviously there's gonna be some of that, but like when you actually like start digging into the evidence, like holy shit, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But and especially like when Corey Feldman was coming out like against Hollywood and about like all like the pedophiles that were there, it's like and you'd have like Barbara Walters, like it was like, oh, you're terrible. How could you say these horrible things about these people? It's like, yeah, well, you know what? You're
siding with the bad people. You're siding with the bad people.
Like I don't, and to be honest, like I don't know if like she knew what was going on, but she probably did. Yeah, and it's just like,
come on, it's Barbara Walters. She knows it all.
Esteemed journalist.
Yeah. How could Babs not have known?
It's I don't know. I just I feel like I'm like that what was it, the movie like They Live or something like that, where it's like you just have to point at the people that are the lizard people. It's like they're right there. It's like just wake up.
Oh God, it's the hills have eyes all over again.
Yeah. The world we live in is crazy. It's one of those things where I almost wish I was just like this dumb, ignorant ignoramus that just would be or
or a midwit.
Yeah, that
there's people whose IQs are just barely above room temperature, and like they think they're smart, and they it's like, oh, I watch CNN, so I'm a. Well, yeah, because it's really the midwits, because like these people whose intelligence is just above room temperature, and like they just and they think that because they watch CNN, like they think that they're informed, and so it's like, oh yeah, I heard on CNN. So it's like,
Andy, do you know my
so much fucking easier. I would be a lot less like anxious or depressed.
Wait, Robert, hold on. I gotta ask this, and I need to know the truth. Andy, do you know my ex-wife?
Personally, no, but you have spoken to her at some length on on various episodes.
You have just described her perfectly.
Oh, she's a midwit. Okay.
Dude, yes.
I know some midwits too, and I'm sure Robert knows some midwits. Yeah, it's these people whose intelligence is just above room temperature, and they think like I'm taking the opinion of a supposed expert, so therefore I'm correct.
My daughter can't shave her legs until she's 15. That's what Google says.
Like, how about she just shaves them whenever they get hairy?
Yeah.
Yeah. My life would be so much better if I was a fucking idiot. I sometimes I pray, God, just take away brain cells. Let me be an idiot. Let me be ignorant and just dumb. I'm
gonna tell you right now, man. I have literally looked at Rose, and I have told Rose is my current wife. For everybody who is curious, she is not my ex-wife. She is my current wife, and the only wife that I want for the rest of my life. I've told her flat out, if I could travel back in time to a different era in time, I would, because it was just so much simpler back then. I hell with the technology. I was not raised with technology. I was raised with a TV. I was, you had to be in by a certain time. You were out all day
Yeah, I
playing.
mean, yeah, one of the
Take me back
benefits
to the
for
fucking 90s, baby.
I mean, yeah, one of the benefits of our generation is we still remember a time before the internet.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we remember the time back in the days when you play out, until the streetlights came on, and you came home, and then you had dinner, and
Dude, I
and
remember.
everyone watched the same. Everyone watched the same thing. As much as great as YouTube is, or the democratization of entertainment. One of the good
we watched
things
them together.
Yeah, one of the good things about programming, television programming, was that everyone was watching the same thing, and then everyone was talking about the same shows and talking about the same news. But now it's just like, oh, I heard this on such and such network. Well, I heard this on YouTube, or I heard this on Reddit, and then so it's the atomization is what's killing the cohesion.
That used to be the great thing about sports, is like we could all come together and like, hey, we can watch like the Super Bowl, we can watch a NASCAR race, so we can watch the hockey game together, and it's like that is fucking gone, like, because they have turned our sports into another political arm.
And not to mention the fact that back when we were growing up, we didn't. If we had an issue with somebody, we didn't walk up and just pull out a gun, or well, some people might have, but we didn't walk out and pull up a gun, pull out a knife. It was a straightforward, hey man, let's fight, or you just walked up and punched the fool in the face. But like I was telling Rose though, is heck, I don't want to go back to the 80s. I don't want to go back to the 90s. I want to go back to like the 1700s, or the 1600s, and build a house, and with my own two hands, and do stuff like that with the family, instead of living in these times, because it's just there's too much shit.
Fuck, maybe the Amish had it right.
Maybe.
Well, the only thing the Amish don't do, from what I've seen, is shave. So, if we could get the chicks rolling that part, we'd be good. At least trimming.
Yeah.
Or you could just start your own sect of Amish. It's like we're the ones where like the ladies shave their pits.
Hey, you got to do that.
I know. See, I'm about solutions, man. I'm about solutions.
Hey, there you go. You can come join the cult too.
Yeah.
The group, excuse me.
Yeah, I'll come join your faction.
Hey, there you go.
How is it like? I want to know, how did the Amish determine, like, hey, like 1860 is like when we're gonna, like, this is when society was awesome, and we're never gonna progress from here.
Well, I mean, it's not as though like Amish are completely devoid of technology, because
no, I understand that,
or modern technology. Yeah, because I've seen I've seen some Amish people with iPhones, although they could have been Mennonites.
True. It's funny. That might be a good like movie theme, like where we do like movies about the Amish, because there's a great Harrison Ford one called Witness.
Yeah.
There's there is another like Tim Allen and Kirstie Alley movie that's a great movie too.
I have For Richer or Poorer. And there's also the I think it's a Coen Brothers movie, but it was a Kingpin.
Yeah, Kingpin.
Yeah.
Fucking great, and it's about bowling too. So it's even
about
more
bowling,
finale.
Right.
They actually had a
fun for movies.
They had one. They had a comedy. It was it's called Sex Drive. Have y'all heard of that?
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. It had what's his face?
The kid from Hot Tub.
Yeah, that's right. The fat nerdy one.
Oh yeah. Shit! I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Robert.
Was Jesse Eisenberg in that one too? Or am I misremembering?
That might have been him.
Okay.
It had God, what other movie did he play in? Damn it, Andy! Now you got me drawing a blank.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, Clark
God, I
Duke,
have
that
to.
guy from Hot Tub. Yeah.
Yep.
James Marsden's in it. Oh, Seth Green's in it as well.
Yes.
Oh, I'm in.
He's actually he's actually one of the Amish fathers.
Ah,
Of course he is.
interesting.
Yeah,
Oh.
he repairs the guy's hot rod,
Oh, that's right.
and the dude from the movie Hot Tub, he hooks up with the Amish chick.
Ah,
No, that's great.
nice.
Freaking, that movie's hilarious.
Nice.
Well,
All right.
why don't we get into our movie
all right.
review?
Yeah. All right. We got, we talked everything we wanted to talk about regarding the topics. So, yeah, let's cap off tonight with the movie review. And again, to remind y'all, the movie for tonight is Bone Tomahawk, starring Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, who else was there? Sean Young, David Arquette, Matthew Fox, Richard Jenkins,
Sid Haig.
Sid Haig, that's right. I was just about to mention him.
Captain Lou, my boy.
Yeah, all right. Let me hit y'all with the synopsis and we can get going. Where was it? I just had it. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Yes, after an outlaw unknowingly leads a band of cannibalistic troglodytes into the peaceful western town of Bright Hope, the monsters kidnap several settlers, including the wife of a local rancher. Despite his injured leg, the rancher joins a small rescue party with the sheriff, his aging deputy, and a strong-willed gunslinger. What follows is a journey into hell on earth as the posse comes to realize it is up against a foe whose savagery knows no bounds. The film takes place at the turn of the century around the border of what is now Texas and New Mexico.
I was going to say something else instead of posse.
You got me. You got me.
Yeah,
Just real quick, whenever you seen that word, you were like, "What?"
So I am not a huge fan of the horror genre. I can count on probably both hands of what I think are good horror films. We've talked about The Shining and Doctor Sleep on the podcast. Eventually, I wish we'll talk about Alien and The Thing, which are also great horror films. Maybe The Exorcist at some point. I don't know. That's also a great one. But this also to me is under the category of really good horror films. And it's fairly recent. Obviously, it's 2015. Just a little bit of backstory on the movie. The director is Craig Zoller. This was his directorial debut. He is a fan of Sydney. I watched a bunch of interviews with Craig Zoller, talking about the movie and stuff like that. He is his favorite director was Sidney Lumet, who we've actually done at least one of his movies, which was 12 Angry Men and Network. But Sidney Lumet's done a whole bunch of stuff. Craig Zoller, he actually was, kind of a weird way to become a director, but he was a novelist before he became a director. And seems kind of just one of these ordinary fun guys. And his favorite films, which one is definitely a huge influence on this movie, is The Wild Bunch. I don't know if any of you have seen that. I have. It's one of the glorious westerns. It's one of the glorious westerns that was made. I think it's mid 1960s. It's a great movie. Wild Bunch, highly recommend it. But he's also a fan of 2001. and Bridge on the River Kwai is another one of his favorite films.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to guess on the budget of this film, what would you guys venture as like a guess at how much this movie cost to make?
I'm gonna say bare bones, because I could tell because there weren't a lot of like grand establishing shots, like landscape shots, which is pretty common trope for westerns.
True, but like just venture a guess. Like, how much would you say like it costs?
10,000.
10,000.
Right. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna be a little bit more generous. I'm gonna say 10 million.
It was $1.8 million.
Okay, so I was off, and by 9 million.
So,
All right.
and here's the thing, is because Craig Zoller wrote this movie too. He was not only was he the director, he was the writer of the screenplay of this movie too.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. And because when he was shopping this around, a lot of production companies like, oh no, we want to have our writers do the screenplay and like do their own notes. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that because a lot of because he had already shopped the screenplay around to actors to try to get people to come onto the film.
Right.
And what the reason, because you look at the cast, like these are heavy hitter actors.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Russell is an A-lister. I'm sorry, and maybe he's getting up in age. Still an A-lister in my opinion. The guy's been in a billion films, but
Right.
even like some of the supporting characters, these are guys that have
they're
been
no slouches either.
No, they're not slouches. They're A-list TV stars. They've been in a bunch of films, and the reason they bought onto this is because they read the screenplay. It's like this is not just characters on a page. These are not just lines on a page. These are real people that are on in the screenplay. Like I can play this character. I see myself as this character.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like, he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to just give it to some production company. I'm going to make it myself. And because he was only able to scrounge up like $2 million to make this movie, from a lot, he actually had a lot of foreign investment from like Europe and so in a lot of ways, it's kind of more of a spaghetti Western in that sense, because there's a lot of European funds coming to this movie.
Wow.
It was filmed in 21 days, so that's like Clint Eastwood speed.
Yeah.
It's
3 weeks.
and a lot of the production a lot of his production crew is like, you're never gonna get this done. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough time. It's gonna be garbage. And he's like, Craig Zoller felt like, this is a challenge for me that I need to be. I need to have the whole vision. Like, I need to have everything prepared, and the actors took that as a challenge. Like, that we need to be prepared, because we don't have time to for 50 takes. We don't have like Stanley Kubrick time to have 118 takes on one scene. Like, we just got to get. So
it's almost like an Ed Wood sensibility. Then they would have to have
in a lot of ways, yeah. It was filmed on Paramount Ranch, which I think is the
right over here, just past Calabasas.
Yeah, which is great. It's a beautiful place to shoot for a western.
I thought I recognized those mountain ranges.
But yeah, that's the other thing is like one of the characters, the lady that played Mrs. O'Dwyer, Lily Simmons. You know who was supposed to play her character beforehand? Because she was initially cast in the movie, but for it was some scheduling conflict, she couldn't do it. You know who was initially set for that? It was Jennifer Carpenter, who was, if you guys have watched Dexter, it's Dexter's sister. Which, thank God, she did not play this part.
No, I'm glad she didn't, because I'm gonna tell you what, like.
And for those of you, Wayans Brothers fans, she was also one of a socialite in that movie White Chicks.
Is that who? That's right, she was.
Yeah, and another little tidbit.
White Chicks, my wife's favorite movie, by the way.
secretly mine too.
That movie constantly.
Secretly mine too. but like in real life, Jennifer Carpenter and Michael C. Hall, yeah, the guy who played Dexter,
Yeah.
they were actually married.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
was like kind of weird that they were playing brother and sister too. But
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is because Craig Zoller has gone on to make a couple more films, which I have not watched yet, but I do own them now because I really like this guy. And his other movies have another. It's just great casting. I think you got but Jennifer Carpenter is in both of those films, so I'm kind of curious to see how she's used. But like I said, like the casting, David Arquette, Sid Haig, Lily Simmons, Sean Young, who I didn't even fucking recognize in the movie, and like now that
it was kind of like what's her face, Winona Ryder in Star Trek, 2008.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would have never like it just kind of like is thrown at you a little bit. It's like now that you've told me that, it's like of course that's Sean Young. Like how did I miss that?
I know, a statuesque woman who's like who henpecks the mayor of the town, the mayor's wife. Of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
but that's just a little bit of like kind of the background of the movie that I could find. There was not a whole lot, but I watched like a bunch of interviews from the cast and the director, and so that's a little bit of like the pre-production of the movie. But let's get into the actual movie itself.
Let's get into the guts. You wouldn't think Western horror would really work, but it really works in this movie.
Well, I think the reason it works is because a lot of horror tends to be a lot of like either something more mystical or spiritual,
supernatural,
or not something that's not like super tangible. This feels like this is real. Like this could have actually happened. And you dive into history too. Like I was talking with like Dave about this, is that back when we had Christopher Columbus come up and come to the Americas, there were a lot of these Indian groups that were talking about like, hey, like there's this tribe that's eating us, that they're kidnapping us and raping us and eating us. And I imagine that there was more than one Indian tribe, native tribe, that was doing that. And we, when I was also watching this movie, I was thinking of like, I don't know if either of you have watched The Searchers with John Wayne and Natalie Wood. This is a lot like that too, in a lot of ways. More cannibalism than anything than in that movie, but it's kind of the same concept where you have this Indian tribe that is going and kidnapping and murdering people. That's exactly what's happening here, and I guarantee that this is happening all over the Americas as people are settling the country. This doesn't seem like a fake concept to me.
From what I've got is especially from the Native American part and stuff, is from what I've seen and that's been documented, there actually was tribes in America that actually did do cannibalism.
Well, I mean, you watch Apocalypto. I mean, that should happen too. It's like this sacrificial cannibalism that they were doing.
Yeah, because it just wasn't. A lot of people think that back in those days and stuff, that it was just the Indians from here. It wasn't just the Indians from here. There were actually like Mayans and Aztecs, here as well. But because they looked almost similar, they still classified them as, Native Americans from here.
Indians.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of them were like migratory. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility. But yeah, and I know a lot of people like see Apocalypto and they think a lot of it is like more like ritualistic, but it's like no, they were because there's like the thing about like eating the heart of your enemy to gain his courage, or eating the eyes of your enemy to see to be able to see from his perspective. So yeah, but it wasn't just like these ritualistic things. Like they're tribes and clans that were eating
They were
people
the
for sustenance.
right.
Yeah, it's and so in a lot, yes, we start off with David Arquette and Sid Haig's character, who are terrible people. Let's
Oh
get that
yeah,
right
yeah,
off the
yeah. I
bat.
mean, like the opening scene just like sets the tone of the movie, and I literally was taken aback because it's just like straight up like knife across the throat, boom, blood
So
everywhere. It's like that. This is the type of movie, y'all. This is this type of movie.
let me
And
let me
and
explain.
really, yeah, it's like, okay, so these people are awful. Like, they're just like
Mhm.
killing people out of nowhere, and they're robbing them for whatever, and they happen to they hear like these wild cries of this like what the hell are those wolves, like what the hell is that sound, and as they ended up stumbling across this burial ground, and all of a sudden like our Sid Haig's character, who's Buddy, he is arrowed in like the fucking throat, and he's like, and you're like, oh shit, like this is happening like right off the bat.
Well,
And
let's take a step for a second. Let me say this real quick. For anybody who does not know who Sid is, watch The Double Rejects. He's Captain Lou.
yep,
Period. Know who he is now.
he's a horror legend. The guy has
Yes.
been in a
Yes.
billion horror films.
And if he
He
smiles, you'll definitely know who he is.
and the unfortunate thing, he recently just passed away, which is kind of sad, but he is a horror legend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we start off like Buddy gets like shot in the throat with an arrow, and we're kind of like with David Arquette, whose name is Percy in this movie. We just see him like, oh shit, what's going on? And he starts stumbling across like kind of desecrates like the burial ground, and we just see this shadowy figure that hacks apart Sid Haig's character Buddy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of like the start of the movie where you get that like that boom, like boom,
Yeah.
Tomahawk.
Well, the weird thing about it is when if you like at the beginning of the movie, when you see when you see the figure, it's literally not even Native American, color. He's straight up pale white. Looks like somebody dusted his ass with some flour.
Well, maybe that's what it was. Like, we don't even know. Like, what the
Right.
It was kind of almost like what's the word? Oh, they're Aborigines in Australia. That's actually what they reminded me of.
I almost missed that. You're right. That is totally what they were probably going for.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, this movie, man, it literally like it had me on the edge because I was like, the suspense was building, and it was like Western, and I was like, holy crap, finally, something good that's not, sci-fi horror, jump scares or, just straight
no
up.
jump scares here at all.
Yeah, there was none. And watching
it's
this
gonna
movie,
scare you. It's gonna let you know you're gonna be scared.
exactly. But it was like, and for people who have kids, do not let them watch this movie.
Please God, no.
Yes. This ain't your daddy's Western.
And this comes from somebody who I was watching this kind of movie when I was like 3-4 years old. I was watching Freddy Krueger when it first came out. I was watching Friday the 13th, sitting there and, I was wrapped up in a blanket, but my eyes were still open and I was watching, people got hacked up. But, these days,
Dude, I watched The Exorcist like when I was 6. It's like that's like I shouldn't have watched that at all.
Oh, back in those days, you wouldn't have somebody come knocking on your door. These days, you show a kid a pair of titties on a TV, you gonna have somebody going.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but then like we were introduced to like after that really crazy like first scene.
That was the best opening scene I've ever seen in a movie ever.
It throws you like this is what the movie's gonna be like. It really like oh shit like what did we just see? And then all of a sudden like we kind of get into our kind of like more of the kind of the adventure part of it, like kind of like what's gonna happen. We start to meet our characters. We meet Arthur Dwyer, who is played by Patrick Wilson, who do we review Lakeview Terrace on the podcast yet, Andy?
I want to say we did. It sounds familiar. I think we did.
I know we watched it together with which is a great movie, but this is a completely different character, which makes me this guy is a good actor because this character is completely different. He's just this pious, no nonsense guy.
Yeah, cowboy. He does the cattle drives. He's the quintessential Western cowboy.
Oh yeah, he broke his leg, which is a great. This is a great plant that becomes a huge part of the story.
Yeah.
And it's being his wife is a nurse. And so she's taking care of him, making sure because he recently broke his leg. It's like they just
it's like it just happened. He was home after a long cattle drive, and like he was trying to fix the roof during a storm, and he fell and broke his leg.
Hey Robert, you got it wrong, man.
What's that?
She wasn't the nurse. She was doctor.
Was she a doctor? I thought she was a nurse.
Nope, she was doctor.
She was a doctor. Okay, I'm sorry. She was a doctor. I got it wrong.
Yeah, she was the doctor because Kurt Russell, whenever he turned around and said he turned around and told what's his name to go fetch the doctor.
I think she does have
because the thing
they do send for a doctor, but I think it was a male doctor because and a bit of a drinker. From the dialogue used, because he's like, is Doc whoever in his cups? And he's like, yep. He's like, yes, ma'am. And so that's when she springs into action. So I think she does have medical training. I don't know if she was necessarily a doctor. Particularly for that time period, but
she knew enough to get by.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she had no knowledge. Obviously she does. Right. But I just don't know if she was a full-on doctor, or if she was just a nurse,
or maybe she was a veterinary doctor.
Yeah, she might have been.
But anyways, we're getting
Hey, that's what mattered.
But anyways, so we meet those two. We feel like there's a lot of love between the O'Dwyers. Do you think that they were newlyweds?
They had to have been.
No, I'm gonna say no.
No, okay, no.
I'm gonna say no. But because of the nature of his job, he's away a lot. So they could I think it's just because he's away a lot. When he is home, it just seems like that they are newlyweds because they haven't seen each other in a while, and so
I was going off by the letter that he was reading.
Oh, right. Well, at that time they could have been, but again, I think maybe because we don't even know. Well, you're probably right because it's it could have been a letter that's recent, or maybe at least one that she particularly enjoys that he sent her.
Maybe maybe that's what it was too. So it's left up to our interpretation. That's right. Definitely for sure. Mm-hmm. But anyways, then there's we meet our sheriff, played by Kurt Russell, Sheriff Franklin Hunt, and my absolute favorite character in the movie, Chicory.
The backup deputy. Yeah, the backup deputy.
Who is fucking brilliant. This is like some of the best acting I have ever seen.
Yeah, Richard Jenkins.
He is. I think of like a lot of like of Mice and Men and like Forrest Gump, like all rolled into one. He's both. No, he is an idiot. He is smart. He is kind, and he is unfiltered.
Yeah, he has like
Dare
this.
to judge,
He
people.
has like
Dare
this
to judge.
like experience naivete to him too. You know, it's and he still has like this sense of wonderment where like everything is like when during one of the camp scenes, he's asking Kurt Russell's character, the sheriff, is like, oh, have you ever read in the bathroom, like while in the tub, and it's like,
Oh my God,
and then like it's like, yeah, I can never do it. It's just so relaxing. I drop the book or I get the pages wet, and then and then Kurt Russell's character, the sheriff, he like suggests to him like, oh, why don't you get a music stand? It's like a music stand. It's like, yeah, and just prop the book up right next to the tub, and so like and have a towel right there, and you could dry your hands, before you keep a towel right there, and then you could dry your fingers, and then you could turn the page, and it's like oh, it's like that's a great idea, It's like the most, yeah. He thought that he takes it as like the most genius idea he's ever heard.
I'm just like, why? What the fuck is this dialogue? But it's great. You think like in another movie, it'd be like, what the fuck is this? But in this movie, I'm like, yes, I love Chicory. He is so great.
Yeah, and one of the things I love and again, one of the things I really loved about the character is that as we progress, we start seeing that he's not this idiot. He's skilled.
He's smart. He's really
smart. He's and he has experience. You find out that he's a veteran from like the Civil War, and that he has some like medical. He has some medical training.
It's just
and just the way that he disarms Arthur Dwyer. That's amazing too, because he's a kind of like unassumingly goes behind him.
Think about that, but you're right.
He unassumingly goes behind them, and on the signal of the sheriff, he immediately disarms him.
Well, he's even the one that's like, hey, he's acting very suspiciously, like.
Yeah, he's the one that called it out.
Saying like, no, he's got a lot on his mind. It's like, no.
Yeah, and, he's like, yeah. So Chicory's like this very layered person, and he's also a widower,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like he is extremely like he's an idiot, but at the same time he is very brilliant. But he's all, and the thing is like his like in another character, his dialogue is like, what a fucking asshole, shut the fuck up. But he's so kind. Like he's not doing it to hurt anybody. He just doesn't have a filter. But he's
Chicory, man, to me,
he is such a complex character that I could not stop listening to Chicory. He was my favorite character in the whole movie.
He is the most loyalist person. If like he was so loyal to the sheriff, like even though he was like the back deputy and stuff.
Right, and like and even though he was probably older than the sheriff too.
Oh yeah, he was a lot. He was a couple years old.
Well, and it's funny, like, because even like later on, and like as part of the adventure after like a lot of shit has happened with Matthew Fox's character, who is also a great character.
I loved the John Booter character.
Everyone knows him from Lost. Yeah, obviously, like so he's a great
actor. Party of Five, depending on how old you are.
It's like. But that's right. He is in Party in 5, but he is. Party in 5 sucks. I'm sorry, guys.
I didn't say that it was good. I'm just saying he's also from. He's also known for that role.
So Lost was a better job for him. Yes. This is his best acting job. This is the best acting that Matthew Fox ever done.
What was that?
I said in the Party of 5. Did y'all ever find Lacey Chabert? What is it? Lacey Chabert or Chabot,
the little
or
sister.
whatever that is? Huh?
The little sister.
Yeah, the little sister. Did you ever find her hot?
I mean, at that time, no. But in Mean
I
Girls, she was
remember
pretty.
like
She was
Nev
pretty. She
Campbell
was,
and
she was a pretty tasty slice.
wasn't wasn't that where what the fuck what's her face
Yeah.
Campbell, Nev
the chick
Campbell,
from
and
Can't Hardly
Jennifer.
Wait and
The really smart
Jennifer.
one.
yeah, the really smart one. She was
Yeah,
in there
Jennifer
too.
Love Hewitt. Yeah, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Thank you. Yeah, that's I noticed her and Nev Campbell. Like that's about it.
Right. Anyway, yeah, but I love the John Buda character. For some reason, like I think Matthew Fox was trying to channel Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday.
Oh, I totally felt that. I
Yeah.
totally felt that. That's another movie that I wrote down. It's like, dude, this is Tombstone with. I mean, obviously it has Kurt Russell in it, who like had an even better mustache and beard.
Oh yeah. But I definitely got like Doc Holliday vibes off Matthew Fox's performance. But it was still unique. But it was still unique. That's what I want to point out. It was like still unique.
I related to Matt Fox's character in this movie because it was like, you know, the whole. Oh, it was, he had done stuff in the past, and I'd done stuff in the past, and it was just like, this dude's a complex motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
This is what I go back to, like where because Craig Zoller, who is essentially a nobody in the industry, he got all these guys involved. He got Kurt Russell like signed up like right. He was the first guy that got hired because he read the scripts like this is something. These are complex characters. These are real people that I want to be in on this project. That means something a lot because all these characters are very complex. They're fun. Going back to my point about Chicory, like one of my favorite line, there's a couple of scenes that I really love. One was like where Bruder talks about how I've killed a bunch of Indians, and it's like, oh, some of them, not all of them were men, some of them were women and children. It's like, and it's like, what, I don't, and Chicory is like, oh, I don't think I could kill women and children. It's like, well, you don't know what happened to like my mother and my sister. It's like, I've never met your mother and your sister. It's like,
exactly.
Right. Oh, and it's like, it's like, and it's like, or just the way like he said, like there's a couple of like points that Bruder made, and it's like, oh, I don't think I could do that. It's like it's like it's just like, and he doesn't shut the fuck up, and it's like, but he's not doing it out of because being a dick. He's just like, he doesn't have a filter. It's like, and it's like, Chicory, stop. Just stop talking. Like you're bringing up a sore subject. Just shut up.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, damn, old boy was Chicory was talking, and he was like, "Do you ever shut up?" And he's like, "Well, I could, but then we're just gonna walk around in silence."
All would be like men breathing and
hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great. It's like, he's right though. It's like,
yeah.
And then
he makes a valid point.
And then it was like, what was it? It was a minute later. You see Chicory and Kurt Russell, or Kurt Russell and Chicory. They're walking, and then it pans off to the distance, and it's a flat line. It's just all you see is the horizon off, and it's flat land straight down. And he's like, they say the world's round, but from my standpoint, where I'm standing, where we're at, it's flat.
I knew that was the line that was going to get Andy.
Yeah, I love that line. That was hilarious.
I made that point too. Like when we were watching, it's like, this is Andy's favorite character right here.
We were literally at that point, Robert, when we were watching that movie. My wife she was walking into the kitchen, and then as she was walking out, she heard that line and stopped, and she was like, "What did he just say?" I
Yeah, I
literally, like,
mean,
after
yeah.
the movie and after we got off the phone, I had to rewind it and show her
Yeah.
what the landscape looked like,
Mhm.
and then she was like, "I don't get it."
What? Oh, that's a great line. Oh my god, that's a great line.
I was like, "Babe," I was like, "All right, all right." I was like, "All right, listen, let me do this with my hands, okay?" Everybody says the world is round, right? So you got your globe, you got your Earth, right? She's like, "Yeah." When you're walking, you have flat land. Then you have your horizon. What's it look like? Oh, I get it now. I was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "You really sure?" She's like, "Not really." I was like,
Jesus.
I was like, "Okay, I love you. I know it's early in the morning. I love you to death, but let me explain. Everybody says the earth is round, right?" "Yes." "Okay. So you're walking, you see flat land. Maybe it looks like the earth is flat." Now I get it. I'm like, God, I need to smoke a joint.
The the
Uh,
other great line, one of the other great moments in the movie too was, Bruder is, he's kind of like he starts kind of like dictating things, like where he starts like, they're coming to camp for like I think for the first time, and he starts setting up a perimeter, and it's like, oh, he's kind of like dictating like the details, like here's what's gonna happen, and like and Chicory steps says like, what the hell? Who the hell are you? Like, you're not the sheriff. You're not the captain of this group. And he's like, do you think you're smarter than all of us? Like, yes, I do.
oh
And
yeah.
in his like just calm, cool like way, he's like, yes, I do. And it's like, wow, who the hell are you? Like, who are you to tell us that you're smarter than us?
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, how are you smarter than us?
and it's like,
And it's
because I'm not married.
yeah, it's like, well, it's like, yeah, because he's like, we're after Mrs. Dwyer. The sheriff is married. You are a widower. It's like, I'm the only one that's not married.
And like Chicory is just incensed. He is so mad, and it's like, and because that's also the scene like later on, like when they're laying down, where Chicory asks, he's talking about like the whole like, do you ever read a book in the tub? And
Yeah.
that's where like the sheriff gives him that idea about the music stand, and like after he's like, I bet Bruder would never come up with that idea. I was like, this is great dialogue. This is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, and it's great character to like. This is how you develop a character, you know.
Well, it's like Bruder, he was sitting there while he was doing that. It was like he was sitting there, bantering on about not being married. And he was like, he was telling everybody, he was like, "Yep." He's like, "But you know what, though? Might not be married. You guys are. But I'm the one that they call for dessert."
11 women in Bright Hope.
Right.
And that's when the sheriff finally turns around and, instead of, Chicory turn around and telling him pretty much to shut up, the sheriff turns around and looks at him and was like, "Hey, won't you close your mouth?" And that's when everybody like lays down and was like,
Yeah,
that
close
was
that aperture.
Yeah, close that aperture, Chicory. Yeah, and also what is it? Like when Chicory disarms Arthur Dwyer and he like yells at him, he's like, "Get off me, you imbecile!" And then after everything is resolved, he apologized to him. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Chicory, for calling you an imbecile." And like he had the best response where it's like, "Oh, there was a time or two, my wife Nadine used to call me an imbecile. It felt kind of nice."
Yeah. Best character ever.
Best character ever. It's like, again, at first he kind of comes up as this buffoon, but more and more as you go along in the movie, he just becomes like this really awesome character. He's able to disarm Arthur Dwyer. He's able to perform emergency surgery. He's able to bring up the morale. He's one of those characters that brings up the morale. Like even when him and the sheriff and Mrs. Dwyer, they were like in the cave, and it was like it seemed it was, and then it was after one of the deputies was hacked to bits and ripped apart. And he brings up the flea circus that came to town one time. And it's
he is. I look at him as like Heihachi, like from Seven Samurai. He is a shining light in tough times. It's like he is. If this movie did not have Chicory, this would be too much.
Dude, it'd be it'd be such a downer movie. Like it'd be too much, too much intensity for anyone to handle. Like you have to have those moments of levity to break the tension. And Chicory does that masterfully. And I mean, credit to the director and writer of this movie for crafting such an impeccable character.
Yeah, if without Chicory, this would be like Wind River, and I'd have to be like drinking to watch this movie.
Oh yeah, especially like when that other deputy gets hacked to death. It's just like, oh my god, it's like so brutal.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's talk about this scene now. Let's talk about this.
Okay, well, yeah.
We're getting that because there's one other thing that I want to mention before we get to kind of like the really like crazy parts of the movie was we get that scene like where we see how like Bruder is pretty intense, because he sets up that perimeter. Like as soon as like he hears any when he heard the jingle of them bells, boy, he was licking me.
Yeah, just open.
He just pulled his gun and shot. That was the he was on it.
Right, and and he laid it out. He lets the audience know this is who he is. This is what he's about.
Yeah.
Right away, and then he demonstrates, because if you're a man and you approach a campsite and you don't announce yourself, then I'm gonna assume that you have bad intentions. And if you come and you jangle the thing, then I'm gonna assume that you're some dumb animal trying to come to do me harm. So he's he lets everyone know, he lets the audience know what he's about, and then he goes and then demonstrates it, which is another example of just great writing and great directing, because he told us and then he showed us.
Well, and then there's the
asked him. He was like, what makes you so special to, you're putting out this tripwire, and he's like, cuz something comes across it and dangles it, I'm gonna be the first one to shoot. And he was not lying.
Oh yeah, it's like I'll have gotten one shot off before you guys even rouse, get up.
Yep,
and so like, oh damn, and again he said it and then he demonstrated it.
Yep. Yeah. Because see, I watched Tombstone, and that was one of my favorite movies. And
that's my favorite. That's my favorite Western.
Kurt Russell, man, he was, I thought he was going to be the first.
Coming with me.
I thought Kurt Russell was going to be the first one to actually pull the trigger off, or at least Chicory, because just how Chicory acted. But nah, old boy turned around, and he was like, now, didn't even sit up.
Well, and then later on, we get those Mexicans that approach, and it's like, this is one of those ambiguous points in the movie. Like, was Bruder right? Because he, obviously it's like they're approaching the camp, and we hear the noise. We don't hear the jingle of the wire, but they hear them walking.
You hear the scuffle of the feet and stuff through the brush.
The shuffling of the feet through the brush.
But who knows what was going on? We really don't know. But then obviously everyone's alerted because they're already on pretty high alert to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no one's really sleeping.
No, and it's Kurt Russell. He was like, you're a sneak and all this, and all this shit, and it's like light a match. We need to see who you are, and it's like, drop your weapons, all this stuff, and it's like it's a really tense moment, and obviously like he wants to figure out like, who the fuck are you, coming up to our camp and all this stuff, and even like as they're starting to approach, Bruder doesn't even fucking hesitate. He just shoots them dead. And I'm wondering, I posed this question to David. Andy, I'm going to pose it to you. Do you think that Bruder was right, wrong, or do you think that by shooting those two guys, he caused the problem that happened later in the next scene, like where they lose the horses and Bruder gets stabbed in the shoulder, or had they let them like live, do you think that would have happened? Had they not done anything, do you think that would have happened regardless?
Well, if Bruder hadn't shot them and it turned out that they were, no good, then they would just they would have died, and that would have been the end of it. Whether or not Bruder killing those two men caused the retribution from, like, I guess well, then that kind of answers the question of whether they could be trusted or not, because, like, why would those men? Why would the rest of those two men, like the rest of their party, come back and take their horses?
True. It's
so I'm gonna say that
it was gonna happen.
I'm gonna say that they were gonna get robbed and their horses were gonna be stolen regardless.
Yep.
Okay. Another great chicory line is like, where it's like when Arthur Dwyer, because he is really hurting at this point, and he wakes up and it's like, what the hell is going on? It's like, Mr. Bruder showed two Mexicans the what manifest destiny means. I was like, Jesus Christ, that is awful.
I forgot about that line, but I remember laughing. I
did too. I was just like, God damn, what a line.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that gets me about that line is it's not about what was said. It was more or less of the way he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was uncomfortable with what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, well, because after the sheriff, told him to go check him out and stuff, he walked up to him and he was like, those were God-fearing men.
Well, we see the crucifix on the one guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, were they armed? It's like, sort of.
Their guns, they already threw their weapons down.
And and then later on, like when before they fall asleep in the cold camp, like later on in the next scene, it's like, you shouldn't have done what you did, Bruder. Like, they were God-fearing. It's like, well, Jesus should have saved them.
That is the one line by Bruder I will honestly say was my favorite line of his.
I know you were dying at that line. It's like, well, Jesus should have saved him.
Yeah.
It was like, because I will say this is the reason why I kind of relate to his character is because my favorite line is I get mad is I'll literally tell you flat out, what comes next, God don't want no part of this. That's what I say. I don't care who you are. That's what I tell him.
Yeah, it's just like these scenes are very intense, and we haven't even gotten to like where like we're going to go. Because now they've lost their horses. Now they're walking. Now they have to walk, and it's like, oh shit! Now the broken leg really becomes a problem.
Well, the crazy part is what kind of conflicted me a little bit with the movie is in the desert it gets cold at night. It gets real cold.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay hot, but somehow they walk through the night just fine. No extra clothes, no nothing. Just what they had on. And then during the day, they were, you know, God, oral, what's his name? The one on the crutch.
Arthur
Yeah,
Dwyer.
Arthur Dwyer.
he,
Oh,
that poor
Dwyer.
fella, man, he couldn't catch a break.
Well,
Yeah.
and well, I'll say this. You know, this is one of those things where you have to suspend disbelief just a little bit because,
Yeah.
which I do. The movie has bought a lot of, where you can suspend disbelief just a little bit for like this case.
Right.
As far as like it being in the desert.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and I have like the biggest problem with like suspension of belief because for me, I always try to inject some kind of logic in movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this one, I was able to suspend it a lot more
They bought a
easily.
lot of credits.
Yeah,
early.
the quality of writing definitely bought a lot of credit with me.
Oh.
So I was able to suspend like disbelief like with stuff like that. Yeah.
The other so that's going on. So they eventually, like, now they're walking, after the whole incident with, like, Bruder gets stabbed in the shoulder, which they stabbed him like right where all the nerves are. I'm like, God, fuck, that has got to fucking hurt.
Yeah.
And then so now it's like, oh, we're gonna walk through the night and we'll sleep in the day.
Yeah.
And they're they let Arthur Dwyer go first, and he eventually, like, he's pretty far ahead. They all catch up to him, and like, so he ends up showing to the camp after everyone else. He and announces himself so he doesn't get fucking shot. And because he knows Bruder's gonna fucking shoot him if he doesn't.
Yeah.
And he ends up like, fuck, I am so tired, because they've probably been walking like 18 hours, maybe.
Yeah, they're like 2 hours, and they're like probably 2 hours ahead of him.
And so he finally, like, lays down and sleeps, and like he's like, they rouse him and say, hey, we're gonna go. Why don't you like sleep a little bit? Where it's like, no, I'm gonna go. And he starts to get ready, and Bruder, dude, he is like, hey, if we get there before you, I'll make sure that I don't,
make any flirtations with your wife
too much. And he's like, shut the fuck up. And he goes, he socks that dude right in his face, which is like, I was like, I totally see that. It's like, dude, Bruder, shut the fuck up, man. Like, just don't do. But then
that was my
he ends up falling and he breaks his leg again. Oh, and it's so, like, it's gross. So you hear it.
Yeah, like the crunch and.
Oh, it's so bad, and it's like, it's bad.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping they would have showed it.
Yeah. They probably ran out of money.
Well, because the bone broke out again, and you kind of see like the bone slightly poking.
They showed that, but what I wanted to see was, right after they showed it, I wanted to see what Chicory did.
Oh. This is where I got confused, because I thought they were gonna like hack off his leg. But I know Arthur Dwyer like protests. It's like, no, I want to keep, And so I guess Chicory did like some like sort of magic and like, just reset the bone essentially.
Yeah, and that's
like I was telling David, I was like, they lethal weapon that shit, like with Mel Gibson popping his shoulder back in.
Yeah.
Arthur Dwyer.
Tell you what, man, that when he took that little mallet and he did what he did, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I honestly think he, like, the way it seemed he did is he took the blade and like put it in there to stabilize the bone. And I know this is getting technical, but from my point of view, from being a corpsman, is that's what he did. He took that blade, he cracked open the skin with the mallet, did what he needed to do, and put it up in there so that way he'd stabilize it. But I wish they would have showed it, because
well,
that's
probably, they probably didn't have enough money for, like, because they had, I mean, going on, you see later, like, they have like that that dummy that Arthur Dwyer like cuts into. So yeah, they probably didn't. They just probably ran out of money.
But I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because it's just you use your imagination as like
right. The sound of like it might have not even been the bone, but just like that transition from like where the mallet hits and you hear that crunch and it shifts to the next scene. It's like that's really all you need.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
brutal.
Just the sound is brutal.
Oh man.
But this is where I think, like, let's say like they didn't lose the horses, or like Arthur Dwyer didn't lose his temper. That the movie shifts at that point, because they all die at that point. This is a turning point of the movie, because this sets it up where Arthur Dwyer is the hero of the movie.
Yeah.
Is the hero of the movie.
Oh yeah. Like what is it? When they got in and stuff, where they found out where the Indians were camped out and stuff. Man, that fight scene, that like, what was it, like 2 minutes of a fight scene?
They got ambushed.
Yeah, so hard.
That was so nice.
Troglodytes move fast.
Right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and then what is it? Like Chicory got an arrow in the arm. What is it? The Brooder, he got his hand like clubbed.
Yeah, he got the wrist cut off, and then
the bone got like through the skull.
Yeah.
Those things gotta be fucking sharp, because they cut through like a lot of shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see in like the conclusion, but yeah, it's like, and then like Brooder offering to his last stand or whatever, I just thought again like kind of like the badass good guy where it's like oh, I'm too vain to live as a cripple, so he was like
that
so
was
he
like messed up.
Yeah. But yeah, he's like, just load me up with some dynamite. And I'll, try to take as many of these fuckers as I can. Again, badass good guy.
Yeah, like to me, like I'd have been like, okay, all right, you know what, I would have kept that line. But if this was my movie, I honestly would have I'd have showed him using the dynamite.
Yeah, I wish he was able to with this cigar able to light at least one stick of dynamite off and take at least one of those fuckers with him. But
yeah.
he got ambushed again, and he was taken. He got took out real easy.
Oh, that was good. I'm gonna tell you what, man, that was a good one. That was one of the ones that I did like.
Oh yeah.
Well, because you don't see that much in movies.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see an animal, part of an animal skull.
Yeah.
Flung at somebody that looks like a damn hatchet.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, that's where the title of the film
movie.
Comes from. Those are tomahawks, but they're made out of bone.
Oh.
And this is where great practical effects. I bravo to Craig Zeller on these practical effects, because they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's where they spent the majority of their money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That animal jaw splitting that skull, man, splitting his skull right in half, man, that was beautiful.
Oh man. But this we also got a nice moment where we got a little bit of a payoff, because we knew Brooder was a badass, but he finally he talked about he killed a bunch of Indians, he hates them, and rightfully so. We get the story behind that, which is where like I said, this is where I see the connection to the Searchers, which I guarantee that Zeller watched.
Mm-hmm.
But then Chicory, who is probably wondering well, how many Indians did this guy kill? The number is 116, and it's and even to the end, it's just give me that repeater. It's I'll kill as many as I can. It's and he's like, I'm gonna go out like like a badass, and because I know I'm gonna die, but I'm too vain to go. I'm too vain to go out as a cripple. It's like,
That's what Andy was just talking about just now.
Yeah. That's a badass good guy. It's like I'm too vain to live as a cripple, so it's like just load me up with some dynamite.
But I had to, like I said, this really is this is Matthew Fox at like this guy is a really great actor. Obviously like everyone remembers him from these like Party of Five. Terrible. I'm sorry, it's not a good show, but.
I was not advocating. I'm just saying you might all, kind of like the Troy McClure. It's like you may also remember me from such.
Dial M for murderousness.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
But no, he is great. I think, to be honest, this to me redeems Matthew Fox in a lot of ways, because I don't think that he was great in Lost, but like Lost and the way it ended was so bad. To a lot of fans, where it's like they kind of like, yeah, we're tired of this guy. But the guy,
I mean, I'm one of them. I was like very disappointed with the ending of Lost.
I will say this is like he, and I know y'all alluded to it earlier and stuff, but his character in this and stuff, honestly, it was
so complex.
Oh, yeah. It was.
I want to see like I would love to see like the Brooder film, like him killing all these Indians, like whatever.
Yeah, like do like a prequel or whatever, as and just like go back to like when his mother and his sister were murdered, and then like
you guys said earlier and stuff is like this part honestly reminded me of Doc Holliday from Tombstone.
Yeah.
So it was like, holy crap. It was like, damn, now I want to go watch Tombstone again.
Hey, fuck yeah, I did. I wanted to watch it too.
I did 2 hours later.
Just don't watch Wyatt Earp.
No, huh?
I tried to warn you. All right, I tried to warn you.
I watched that movie a long time ago, and if you watch that movie, I feel sorry for you. That was a waste of time.
As Robert found out.
Kevin Costner, like he was the guy that they initially wanted for Tombstone, but he turned it down to do Wyatt Earp.
Well, we got a better actor.
We got Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp, which is the superior Wyatt Earp.
Seriously. Anyway, so obviously, like now we have Brooder, who is essentially he's dead. And then you have Sheriff Hunt and Chicory going off, and they are like trying to sneak in, and like they get ambushed in that canyon by the troglodytes, and it's like you see all of a sudden you see that arrow go through Chicory's arms, like, oh fuck. It's bad, and like they get like ambushed, they get knocked out, and they start getting dragged to that cave, and it's like, oh fuck. But we get
who in the hell thought of knocking Kurt Russell out with a bone tomahawk going straight down his throat,
and then they knocked him upside the head
with the rock. What the hell?
Dude, that was so
comfortable.
Oh, I know. I was like, ugh.
Great curb stomp. That was the best part of the whole damn movie. I don't care if you got to see the chick from Witchcraft butt behind naked. I don't care. That curb stomp was the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brutal. Oh god.
But that's exactly what I don't know about you guys. That's exactly what I thought of with like that. It's like, oh, this is rough. I know something bad is happening here.
When I seen the Indian taking that damn bone and was shoving it down his throat, I was waiting on the other one to turn around and hit the damn bone.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I was waiting on. I honestly didn't think he was going to hit him in the head with it. I thought he was just going to move back just a little bit and for the other one to take the rock and slam it straight down.
Which we see later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
Well, obviously, then they get dragged into the cave. They get put
Mhm.
into the, they meet. We see, Mrs. O'Dwyer and Nick. They're okay,
Mhm.
kind of.
For now.
They're
Hey,
trapped.
now.
They're trapped in the cave, and I had to say, Mrs. O'Dwyer, she's kind of a badass. Like, she's not just some regular damsel in distress. Like, she's pretty tough.
Right.
And like, just get into the fucking jail because they will kill you. So just get in there, and she kind of like they start talking, like kind of exchanging information, and she's like, is my husband dead? No, he's still alive. He got injured a day ago, so he's way behind us. Well, we left a trail for him. It's like, you fucking idiot. It's like this, that's not what's gonna, everyone says like that the frontier kills everyone. It's like, no, it's not the frontier. It's a fucking idiots like you two. It's like, and it's like, well, your husband is a very determined man. Like, what are we supposed to do? Say no to him? And
Yes.
and they're like trying to figure out like how many of these the troglodytes there are, and it's like, oh well. Finally, she talks about like, oh, there's 13 of them, and it's like, well, we've killed at least 3, so it's like, oh, so there's like 9 left.
There's
like,
10. There's 10 left, and then two handicapped.
Two
males.
blind and crippled pregnant women.
Oh god.
Yeah, but then you see like how they're blind and how they're crippled. It's like, fuck. Like they didn't want these troglodytes, they didn't want their women going nowhere.
Nope.
They
No.
did not. That was. Oh god.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Talking about 80, crippled, blind, and crazy.
Oh man.
God, I'm going.
But she, she's like kind of like, you guys are idiots. But then all of a sudden, like, so everything kind of settles down. But it's like, oh shit, like here comes like the boar mask. I think the leader was like the boar mask guy, right? Like who had all the.
Yeah. I think his character, like in the IMDb, is called like Boar Tusk.
Yeah, boar tusk. Oh no, and it's like, and then they open
right,
up,
and like Mrs. Dwyer, like she was the one like that like had like dread. It's like, oh, not him. And like was like scurried back towards the back of the cage.
Well, before that, like we kind of find out that like David Arquette's character, like, because he's dead by this point, like because we don't see him, and it's like, oh yeah, it's come to find out, like, well, because they drag out like Deputy Nick, and it's like, yeah, the other guy, he was he actually was like, he was a killer, like, so obviously it's something that we already knew as the audience. We were ahead of the characters, but like we find out that like, oh yeah, he was a killer. His name was actually Percy, and he, right to the end before they ate him, like he was he was kind of like, yeah, I desecrated their burial ground and all this shit. It's like, and then they ate him.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Did that, and then they ate him.
And then like, they drag out Nick, they strip him, and it's like, oh god, what are they gonna do? Right. And this is what I call the scene of Tomahawk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were mentioning. Yeah, you kept mentioning. He's like, oh, the scene. I was like, god damn you, Robert.
Well, how else are you going to describe it other than?
Yeah, I know. If any other way would just like it would have given it away, but yeah, this was rough. Like, yeah, they strip him and then they fucking scalp him, and then
they scalp his mouth, and then they
man. Yeah, then they take take that rod or whatever, like, and then they hammer it into his skull. It's like, oh Jesus.
They took that bone and oh my god.
Yeah, and then they took like that. Yeah, and then like the big boss man just like takes it and like starts hacking at him, like down the middle, and like the two other guys like holding his legs up in the air, and it's like, and they rip him
The
apart.
best
It's like,
It was like they just ramming his like scalp into his mouth with that bone. I'm like, oh, he's dead. But it's like, oh, okay, stop. I'm done. Like I'm good. And then
the
like
best.
they flipped him over, and I was like,
Anybody watching this review, for anybody who wants to know what this scene we're talking about is honest.
oh,
Is
God.
honestly, think about going to, for us Southern folk, it's going to a pit pig barbecue.
Yeah. Oh God. I was trying so hard not to have that picture in my mind while watching that scene. And
It is what a pig looks like when they split them. That is exactly what this scene is. And
Christ. They start hacking at his like from his like at his cock,
yeah.
and you have
Started
like Sheriff
splitting them
Humphrey,
with the
it's like, we have the cavalry coming. You're gonna be avenged. Like just it's like he's trying to like do everything, and they as he's like trying to like come on Chicory, let's bang against these, let's get out of here, and like they end up like hacking off Sheriff Hunt's hand, or at least his fingers, and it's like we got the cavalry coming. And, it's kind of like and hell's coming with me moment. Like that was the moment like with it's like and it's like nope. And
but this is the one where it's like he couldn't back up what he was saying.
No.
As opposed to in Tombstone where he really meant it.
Yeah.
But but in this one,
Deputy Nick in fucking half, and his guts and everything fucking spill out. I'm like, oh God, this is so disgusting. Oh, this is so awful.
I will say this: I'm extremely grateful that I was the only one in my living room.
Yeah.
Because
that was hard to watch.
I could never ever watch this movie with Joyce. No way.
My lovely daughter is 15 years old. She will watch scary movies, horror movies with me. It doesn't matter how gruesome they are. I told her about this one. And I told her about the scene.
Nope, I'm out.
Oh, can't do it, Daddy. Now this is a girl that actually wanted to rewind and watch The Predator and Freddy versus Jason and Nightmare on Elm Street several times before she goes to bed. And this is like, I tell her the scene and she's like, nope,
I'm out.
Ain't doing it. I'm throwing the white towel and I'm tapping out. Can't do it.
I have seen a lot of like bloody, gory movies. This is the worst gory scene I've ever seen in a movie. This is hands down.
Yeah, it's super rough. It's super rough. So be warned. All right. I know, like we're describing it in graphic detail, but it's like watching it is a completely different thing.
Once again, Craig Zoller, congratulations, dude.
Yeah, that fucking brilliant bastard.
You have the goriest scene I've ever seen in a movie.
For the people who don't know Robert and Andy, that watch their podcast, who I promise y'all, this scene here is no joke. I laugh about it because of what I've seen in my life and my travels, but yeah, this movie is not for the faint of heart.
No, it is not. Woo!
But I will say this. The next scene where they show, dang it, I keep on forgetting his name. He's the cripple of the movie.
Arthur O'Dwyer.
Yeah, Arthur O'Dwyer.
Yeah, Arthur O'Dwyer. He crawls in and he finds one of the Indians, and he shoots him. Well, they find him because he's asleep.
Right.
And he turns around and shoots one. Another comes. He shoots him, and he does something, and the Indian makes a noise, and he turns around and crawls up to him, and he starts cutting into their throat.
Yeah.
Man, if y'all don't know what a cricoid thyroid oddity is, this is the movie to watch. Because you will find out what it is.
Oh, it's like they have like an ocarina in their throat. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's basically what they did was they cut their throats,
Yeah.
and they cut their vocal cords, and they shoved it down. They sewed everything up. So instead of vocally being able to speak, they make whistling noises, like
Right.
Robert said, was ocarinas. So they're able to do that. That's how they communicate.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when he pulled that thing out, that was beautiful.
Oh, that's probably the second grossest scene in the movie.
Yeah.
I would take those scenes over what he did with that ocarina.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Ain't
it's
no
very
way.
clever of him to start using it to, like, you know,
To draw
draw him in.
This is where, like, see, this is where I say this is a good horror movie because the characters are not stupid. Arthur Dwyer is a smart dude. He knows that, like, obviously, like, our other characters get ambushed and, like, but that's not out of stupidity.
Right.
No.
These troglodytes are not really dumb either. Like, they are predators that know they know how to, like, get their prey. And they know.
And they're also on. It's their home field advantage. It's in their territory.
So they know what's going on. So our characters are not stupid at all. Like, but see, here's the thing is, like, Arthur Dwyer, who he's kind of like the second chance for our characters because he's able to see the scene a second time, like, oh, he ends up, like, being stumbled upon by these, like, troglodytes who make a mistake, and he capitalizes on that mistake because he could have died easily right there. But but he's alert. They don't shoot him, like, with the arrow. It misses. And he's like, bam, blam. And he's like, he gets them, and he's like, what the fuck is that in their neck? And he rips it out because, like, something's weird here. I need to look at this. And he rips it out. It's like, oh, I'm gonna put it in my pocket. And it's so gross. It is really disgusting.
Yeah.
But he takes it. He puts it in his pocket, wipes his hand, like he's, like, covered in blood. And he starts to, like, go to, like, where he sees, like, where, like, the trail is marked, and he sees everything. It's like, this is where everything fucking capsized. Like, he sees, like, this something
went tits up.
Here. I need to find another route out of here. It's like, that's smart. It's like, he doesn't just, like, stumble and, hey, let me go into, like, where they went. It's like which would be a typical horror trope. Right. And it's like, no, we're not gonna do that in this movie. We're gonna. It's
a subtle subversion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, once again, Craig Zoller, brilliant fucking writing.
Oh man.
And he figures out, it's like, well, let me, like, it's like he starts to blow into it. It's like, oh god, it's so gross. It's like filled with blood and, like, just like whatever. And like the first time he blows into it, it's like all this shit, like, comes out of it. It's like, and he's like, blah, he's, like, spitting out blood, the guy's blood and everything. And he blows into it again. It's like, and it, like, leaves kind of, like, makes that sound, and it summons, like, one of these other guys. Blam, gets that guy too. And he's like, oh, I see. This is how they communicate. And game on.
That was to me, that was the disgusting part of the whole movie.
It's so gross.
The scalping, the shoving the scalp in the mouth and boning his to the roof of the mouth and splitting the guy in half. That didn't bother me as much. And the doing the cricoid thyroidotomy and stuff and pulling the damn ocarina out of the dude's throat, that didn't bother me either. But when he put that damn cartilage in his mouth. I was like, oh, bro, come on now. You ain't right.
Yeah.
Ain't
Well, in the meantime, like we have our characters that are trapped, and they had, one of the plants in the scene in the movie is the idea that Arthur Dwyer has the opium, to kind of take care of his leg, because that was a pain reliever back then, which in a lot of ways is still a pain reliever today. We don't in a different
it's
form.
like derivatives of opium. Yeah, like they're called opioids.
Yeah. But anyways, so we have like that.
What they used was called tincture. It's a very powerful sedative that actually too much of it will kill you.
Right. I mean that was the worry that Chicory and the sheriff had at the beginning, because they suspected that he was taking it, and if he takes too much of it, like while he was riding, he could fall out of the saddle and break his neck and die.
Yep.
But anyway, they keep some with them. They put it in a whiskey flask, so it's like they kind of create their own tincture. And because the troglodytes, they're smart, but they're not smart at the same time. Where like, oh, let me, and they're kind of creating this like scene where they're pretending to drink it, and they ended up stealing from them. It's like, drink, dumb bastard, It's like, and they start, a couple of them start drinking. It's like, and Mrs. O'Dwyer was like, well, one of them is going to be passed out for the long time. The second one's going to die. And the third one is not going to be affected whatsoever. Yep. So two of them are gone. It's like another two are out.
Yeah.
And once they figure out, it's like, they figure out the troglodytes figure out what's going on, that they did something to them, and so they drag out Sheriff Hunt, and they knock him out first, and it's like it's kind of the same thing with like, oh fuck, they're gonna do what they did to Nick, and it's like Chickery's like, go, Sheriff, wake up, come on, Sheriff, wake up. It's like, oh God, please, no, not again. I can't go do this again.
Right, but they end up doing something a little less worse. Still kind of gross.
Belly with like the bone tomahawk. They take, and the other thing, I'm like, they know that like stuff is hot, so like they have like this like they
have a piece of cloth or canvas or leather, and they're kind of like an oven mitt. They grab it out of the fire with after they threw it,
and they
make them eat it. In a way, they make them eat it, and they shove it into that open wound, and it's like, oh god damn.
God, it's like, oh no, that's gross too. It's really gross. But like practical effects are brilliant. It's great. It's great looking.
Yeah.
It looks real. Like, I mean, if I didn't know any better, this looks fucking real. It's crazy.
It actually looked real.
It wakes Russell up real fast.
They wanted him to feel the pain.
They wanted, and they really don't want to fuck him up too, because like that heat was gonna make it cauterize, and like it's gonna like seal it into him.
Oh yeah.
So that was brutal.
And then they end up the Bortas shoots him in like shoots him in the arm with like the repeater, but it's like he doesn't know how to recock it and like reload it, and it's like, you dumb beast, like you don't know how to fucking reload it, you dumbass. It's like, shut up, chick.
I know, and then he figures it out, and then because when he pulls the trigger a second time, he's pointing at his dick. It's like, oh god damn, all right, and then and then that's when Chicory's like, oh, you dumb idiot, you don't even know how to reload it, and then and then he figures it out. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's like, I don't need a Hateful Eight reenactment, like you being shot in the balls.
But just before Bortusk is able to blow off Kurt Russell's dick, that's when Arthur Dwyer comes in, guns a-blazing.
Yeah, and it's like well, they figure out, it's like the Bortusk figures out how to recock it, and it's like, he's like, Arthur, there's two more in here, and like he gets shot in the gut or the lung or both, and it's like, oh shit, like you can't talk anymore. And
Oh, yeah.
it's just like, you know, but he takes that opportunity, like where like Bortus drops his bone tomahawk and he fucking hacks his foot
Chop his
off.
foot
I'm like,
off.
yes.
Yeah.
And then Dwyer just blasts him, and it's like, oh, it's just like, it's so horrific because, you know, Sheriff Hunt is dead. Like, he's gonna
Yeah,
die.
yeah. There's no coming back from all that.
But yeah, but he brooders it up, like where he's like, just put that repeater in my hand. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, I will kill the rest of them. There's 3 more left. And there's that scene between like him and Chicory where it's like, please say goodbye to my wife and I'll say hi to yours. And it's like, it's this really touching moment, like,
Yeah, it's
where
pretty
like
beautiful.
had it been any other actors, it would have been like way overblown, you know, just too over the top. But like, no, these guys, perfect. It made total sense for the movie. The lines were great. And you know, the O'Dwyers and Chicory, thank God Chicory survived. I was like,
Yeah.
please, for fuck's sake, do not kill off my favorite character. I would have been so mad had Chicory died.
If he would have died, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would have stopped the movie.
I was like, fuck Chicory. It was like,
I'm not gonna lie about that one.
but like those 3 escape, and it's like, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, Chicory takes we finally see like the 2 crippled females that are pregnant. It's like, God, it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
And
they're like arms and legs were hacked off, which we're pretty sure that those guys ate them. And then like you had like these 2 like, and then like each of them had like, you know, you thought like, you know, you think that they just like cut out their eyes. No, they fucking hammered in like stakes into their eyes. It's like, oh Jesus.
Hey, they probably used their own damn thigh bones for that.
Probably.
What? And okay, quick question: do you, that's what they were gonna do to Mrs. O'Dwyer? Because they probably knew she was a female, right?
Oh,
yeah.
They knew.
She was gonna become, because the reason they didn't eat her, she was gonna become one of those blind females.
Probably.
Come on now, you trust on that woman.
But anyways, so they ended up escaping, and we know that there's 3 left. And all of a sudden, like we hear gunshots
as the trio has, you know, gotten out of the kill zone, you know, in the distance you hear, you know, 3 gunshots ring out.
Do you think they're dead?
I hope they're dead.
I mean, the hope is that they are, you know, and like in so doing, like the entire clan is dead.
But I love that ending because it does leave it open to a little bit of interpretation. Did Sheriff Hunt kill them all?
Right.
Hey, if there's a second one, as long as Chicory and Mrs. O'Dwyer come back, we good.
Dude, I want a full Chicory movie. It's just
yeah, like, you know, his time, you know, in the Union Army, and you know him with Mrs. Chicory. And
I just want to see a movie of him enjoying the flea circus.
Oh Jesus!
I know, right? or an epilogue of him like in a bathtub with a music stand and a book.
Dude, if they had made that, if that was in the credits, I would have been like, yes.
That should have been into the credits right there.
Right.
But that's the movie. That's Bone Tomahawk. I had to say, I fucking love this movie. This is a horror movie at its finest. And unfortunately, it was not a box office success in any shape or form.
No, it didn't even make back. It didn't even make back half its money.
It made $400,000 in the theaters.
Yeah.
And and to be honest, that's a total shame because this movie was one of the best written movies I've ever watched. It looked beautiful. It looked like like you said, I mean, $10 million today is like really low budget, but the fact that they spent under 2, it looked like they spent a lot of money, and they didn't.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, and the fact that he was able to get like such, you know, big name actors, I I thought that would have attracted more investors.
Well, and he's come out with like he's done 2 movies since, which I have not watched, but I did purchase. What are they called? There's let me pull it up real quick. There was Brawl in Cell Block 99, starring Vince Vaughn. This is after his stint on True Detective, which is really great acting by him. And there was Dragged Across the Country, which also has Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson. And I was like, and just based off like the writing of this one, this is his directorial debut. I want to see what else, like see him grow as a writer and director, like on these films. Like I imagine if like he grows as a writer and director, like these movies are going to be even better. Even though I haven't really heard of them, but this movie sold me on Craig Zoller. I think he's a great director.
And I would agree. Yeah, this is a really good. This is a very strong first outing for him. Directorially and also just writing wise. Yeah, really strong showing, and yeah, shows a lot of promise.
He did a really good. He really did really good on this one.
Yeah, it was really interesting too because I mean we have an idea of how people sounded or how people talked back then, and I thought this was a really good balance of kind of like that old timey kind of talk, like using like words like oh yeah, like convalescing, or oh he's very determined, and
that's
kind of like a more contemporary way of speaking.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, because Craig Zoller, the novels that he wrote his novels were westerns, and he wrote detective stories. Those were the novels that he wrote, and so he is very familiar with the western genre. And when he was doing this movie, he's like, we are going to talk like they were back from like 1890 or 1880 or whatever, and we're going to have all of our props are going to be period correct, which they were. The clothes, the guns, everything was period correct. He made sure that was going to be what's going to happen. So that's why the dialogue is like, yeah, it's not contemporary dialogue. It is actually like 19th century dialogue but it's also fun.
Right, but it has like this. Yeah, it had a very contemporary, not sound, but a feel. Like there's a contemporary feeling to the dialogue.
The sarcasm is 21st century, but it's using 19th century dialogue.
Yeah, vocabulary. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it was great though. Sorry.
Very enjoyable.
Any final thoughts before we give our review or our rating?
No. I got nothing else to add.
Go watch it. Promise you. Exactly. You won't be disappointed.
God, I really wish this movie had done better. Like, because I want more people to watch this movie.
Well, I think it's gaining a bit of a cult following.
I certainly hope so, because even like among like horror fans, like because I talk with a lot of cinephiles on Twitter, and even among the horror fans, like this is not one that's talked about. Which I'm like, oh, guys, like this is top tier horror right here.
Right. Well, yeah. I think the Western element kind of might deter more traditional horror fans.
Yeah, it's so fucking unfortunate.
Yeah.
I love Westerns, and like I said, to me, what brought me to it was the Western element, because I am not a horror fan. But I love Westerns, and I am so glad I watched this movie, and I cannot speak highly enough about it.
All right, then. Yeah, let's give our ratings and let's wrap this bitch up.
Let's do it.
Let's go for it.
Dave, yeah, why don't you start us off, seeing as you're our guest?
I'm gonna go. I got two of them for the gruesome factor and the horror factor. I would go with 5. um, with
Okay.
the scenes and the reality of the scenes and the movie production. I'm still going to go with a 5 because to me it was great all around. I liked the way they spoke, um, the gruesome scenes. Um, it, to me, it was a great movie. It's a very underdog movie.
Hmm. Robert,
Uh,
what about you?
yeah, to be honest, I have to give it a 5 too because for one, it surprised me. It really surprised me at how good this movie is, and the majority of the movie is the dialogue, which
Hmm.
is a great that's a Western thing. Like it's a lot of
Right.
it is dialogue.
Hmm.
The dialogue is
Yeah, and then, like a lot of it, yeah, and a lot of the dialogue comes from like the campfire scenes, which again is very Western.
yeah. This is top tier dialogue, and it's character building.
Mm.
And by the end of the movie you love these characters. Like, no, I don't want this character to die. I didn't want Sheriff Hunt to die. And I was like, you better not fucking take Chicory away from me. It's like uh, and the fact that they made Arthur O'Dwyer the hero, who is a fucking cripple, with his
Hmm.
broken leg. It's like that's and but you also get heroic moments from Sheriff Hunt. You get heroic moments from Bruder. And Mrs. O'Dwyer, she's not some like wallflower, damsel in distress. She's a tough cookie. You have and hell, like you have this like we didn't even really talk about Sean Young in this movie, who she's in there for like 2 seconds in the movie, but her character is so powerful. Like her husband is the mayor, but she's the real mayor because she's the only one
Right.
that's kind of like has the everyone
The
knows in the town.
presence.
It's like she's the real boss. You don't fuck. She's the mayor, but like because it is a western. She obviously is like can't be the actual mayor. So her husband is playing mayor, but she's the one in charge. So it kind of does play on like uh it kind of plays on those trope or the standards of like what you'd see in a movie, but it's not done in a way where it's like, oh, that's the movie. We're gonna just we're gonna change all the norms and we're gonna make it a very nuanced movie. No, it's none of that. It's
Hmm.
still it feels like a real movie. The characters are all fleshed out. They all have their own story, and you could spend any time with any of the characters and like, wow, like this is a fun story. I would love to read like if there was a novelization of Bone Tomahawk, which I wonder if Craig Zoller would even write one. Uh, this would be a fun. I would love to read the book.
Mm. Indeed. For me, I, maybe I'm being too
Don't feel
nitpicky.
pressure. You just give your rating. Don't worry about us.
No, no, I know, but I'm like wondering if I'm being overly critical. Just, um, uh,
I know the scene hurt you, Andy.
no, I mean it's not so much the scene, because whenever I ding a movie, it's always over technical issues,
Yeah.
and the technical issues for me were like kind of like the effects, like special effects, um, like some of like the arrow hits or like when like body limbs are cleaved, it's there was like that little that weird kind of like almost like glitchy quality where it kind of takes me out of the movie, but for a brief second. Um, and so I'll do this. If I was to ding it for the like the really minor special effects glitchiness, then I give it a 4.5. But overall, I would agree with both of you and give it a 5.
To be honest, I'll be honest, I am super surprised, Andy. Even like with like you dinging on the technical issues,
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were gonna give this a much lower rating because I know this is not your genre at all. It's not my genre either. But like,
Right? I know, but it's just like, again, because the writing was so good, which makes me, good writing covers a multitude of sins.
Oh
it
yeah.
really does. It really does.
It's like, because like
I,
if it was the same, it was basically all the same scenes but lower quality of writing, then yeah, I'd give it a 3 or something, or 3.5, or whatever.
yeah. Well,
But
yeah,
because of the quality of the writing was so good, the horror stuff, yeah, as grotesque and as as disturbing as it all was, uh, the writing made me care about the characters. It made me care about what was going on in the story. So the horror stuff was just kind of like this unpleasant thing I had to go through and enable for me to even enjoy the movie. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and
I mean,
like again, like mostly I ding things for technical things, and yeah, like if I was gonna ding it for the special effects glitchiness, yeah, 4.5. But that also goes to show you how much I regard the writing
yeah.
in this movie.
I honestly, I thought like I was gonna be like at a 5, Dave was gonna be like a 4, and you were gonna be like a 2.5 to 3. Like and the fact that like I I am so happy that you ended up like liking the characters so much. Like even like for the some of the tech issues, like you're like, yeah, it's 4.5. This is good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, because again, like as long as it's solidly crafted, I can enjoy anything. Even in like a really well crafted horror movie, it will still get a high rating for me. It's just it has to be well done. It can't just be like I mean, I don't mean to shit on like the Saw movies, but it can't just be gore porn for the sake of gore porn, Because I mean, the first Saw movie, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was gore porn, but it was really well written too.
Yeah.
So yeah, similarly with Bone Tomahawk, yeah, there was gore and yeah, it was very unsettling, but damn if it wasn't written really well.
Oh, it was great. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's all I
There
got
you
to
go.
say about the movie.
I did. A point did come up to me about this movie, but I can't remember it right now. So I'm not gonna try and belabor this any longer. If it comes to me during the post show, then so be it. But yeah, let's wrap this bitch up. Yeah, there you have it. That's our review for Bone Tomahawk. Well, we fives across the board. 4.5 for me if I'm going to nitpick like the special effects. But again, the writing is so well done, well crafted in this movie that it covers a multitude of sins.
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah. Well, that'll bring us to the end of the show. I hope you had a good time. I know I had a good time. I know Rob had a good time. Dave, did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, man. I was over here laughing my ass off.
All right. Well, yeah. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday at 6 p.m. ish for another episode. Don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circular Jerk's main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's Gaming Show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts: Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circular Jerk's Podcast. And with all that said. Oh, yes, and don't forget to check out David's Twitch channel. I do have it linked in the description. So if you want, just hit
Do it up on
the
YouTube. I'm gonna hit you up on for the YouTube one as well.
Oh, you're gonna start. Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So shortly you'll be able to follow him on YouTube as well. But yeah, the Twitch link is in the description. So if you want to check that out, it's right there. All right, and with all that said, thank you for joining us. Come back next week and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night.
All righty.
Peace out.